advanced final, which we've finally started in between KINGofOsmane against his opponent LordRaphael. We are spawning into game number 1 on Mendocino, and we see that KINGofOsmane has spawned to the top left of the map in his favourite colour green, playing the Ottoman civilization, where his opponent LordRaphael will be spawning into the bottom right, playing as the Iroquois for game number 1 in the colour blue. On the mic today, I'm joined with Comet K. Comet, how you doing? Thank you for joining.
Doing very, very well. Glad to be here with you.
Looking at initial map balance, I think it's pretty fine for both players. Two easy herdable hunts both, and then a few extra hunts mid-map. Coins not looking too bad. Both players start with the in-base 2 coin miners, so I think we should be good to go for game number 1 here. And what do we see? We do see a single wood crate down for LordRaphael and just wood crates down for King. So I like to guess it's going to be a wood crate start, and we may see KINGofOsmane be able to squeeze in a trading post, a mosque which he's putting down, as well as a house in base. And we'll have to see what LordRaphael is going to make use out of his single wood starts in age 1 for Iroquois.
Taking a look at it, did you say it was a wood start?
I believe so.
Right. So I think LordRaphael, of course, he gets the 100 wood crate, but that's not really going to be all that impactful for him because to get that trading post, of course, he'd have to chop another 100 wood, which as Iroquois isn't something you really want to do. Instead, what you most optimally want to do to play into your civilization's strengths is gather as quick as possible, especially finding food treasures around the map can be a really powerful asset to expedite your fast age up. Of course, native civilizations get the option to age up to the colonial with a certain politician that lets them age up quick, 30 seconds compared to the normal 90 seconds. And so if you can get a food treasure and gather the resources to age up to the colonial age extremely quickly, you can get off a really, really powerful damaging rush. And so that kind of plays more to the strength. So even with the 100 wood, I don't think LordRaphael is going to go for that trading post. On the other hand, we did see KINGofOsmane. He started with a trading post, standard for Ottoman. But on his side of the map, not great treasures. We see a Coeur de Bois and a Settler, which is going to be these treasures that KINGofOsmane scouts. And that's kind of not what he wants to start off with. He'd rather find some resources of his own. So
Did you see that? They both started the treasure at the exact same time, so they both took a single shot into the same wolf, and they both ran out of the kiting radius. So we got on one screen KINGofOsmane's Ottoman Explorer to the top left of this treasure, while LordRaphael was starting to kind of walk into the centre of it. And while you was talking about that pre-game stuff, I did notice that LordRaphael, he split up his Travar to go south, and Explorer went to the north, and the only treasure that Explorer really came across was the 3 stray sheep. And I was thinking that if he had the house from the cords of wood, he could have built the house from the cords of wood and then dropped a farm with his age 1 Travar for the sheep. But it looks like he's not done that this time. The only other thing I was about to say for LordRaphael is if you have your Travar scouting to the south and it scouts a really good treasure, well, what do? Your Explorer's on the other side of the map. It's up to the north.
definitely think that's a really funny thing to point out. I think in a few matchups that would definitely be viable. Of course, LordRaphael would have to make a decision on the fly to do that because, he'd have to scout out that treasure, consider taking it and all. But in this matchup, Ottoman versus Iroquois, probably not a matchup you can get away with building a farm with your Travois in Age 1 with.
So what is LordRaphael going down to the south? He's maybe thinking about his 135 XP treasure. He certainly has the Outlaw Rifleman available to put a lot of damage onto his black bears, and with one of these bears converted to the Iroquois player as well, these 2 black bears are no match for this now growing army of the Iroquois player of the bear, the Outlaw Rifleman, and the Explorer of the Iroquois, and that's an extra 135 XP, which essentially would compensate the Iroquois for not being able to drop down an early Age 1 trading post. And if LordRaphael does decide to do something more aggressive, that should help his momentum in early Age 2.
I think we even didn't see LordRaphael go for that native tomahawk. Of course, instead he has an outlaw rifleman and that black bear, and he's just parking them around the next trading post on the line for KINGofOsmane. Probably just wants to see if he can prevent something like a stagecoach if KINGofOsmane were going to go for that. I wouldn't think that was a really common strategy in this particular matchup, just because it's kind of hard to maintain control of the stagecoach line. just with, what Iroquois can do in the early game. But actually, King is going for a second trading post, and if you'll pardon that off-center flare, he's going to get that second trading post really sneaky. In fact, perfectly dodging what LordRaphael was scouting for.
Yeah, certainly. I saw how Kings was working on some treasures to the top side of the map, and then once he was ready to drop down his own TP, he went for the nearest one available, but also quite wisely going for the one on the far right instead of the centre right, where LordRaphael was already there putting down his own trading post, but certainly is slightly out of the way for LordRaphael to siege this one to the far right, because if LordRaphael has to commit units to this position, he's not committing into King of Osmane's base or King of Osmane's other trading posts. And now that LordRaphael didn't scout where that second TP was, he's assumed that the Explorer is nowhere to be seen, but the Explorer is right in the middle of the map and is about to drop down his own third trading post. Outlaw Rifleman nearby, but with a reduced range of 15 range attack, it should be an easy sharp shot for King of Osmane to take down the Outlaw Rifleman with no extra damage, and then it's going to be a 3-to-1 trading post advantage for the Ottoman player as we move into Age 2. We see an in-base barracks, 700 wood as the first shipment for the Ottoman player, and so we may see a second military production building going down, as well as a stagecoach. Would you stagecoach in this situation?
I mean, if King of Osmane, he definitely saw that LordRaphael aged up slow, so he really is sensing that, probably what LordRaphael is going to do is the fast fortress, which kind of gives King of Osmane the leeway to do something like a stagecoach. So I think if he's keen, that's what he will do. And since he has committed to training units in Age 2, we see the 5 Janissaries popping out. We do see the Artillery Foundry popping out as well. I do think stagecoach would be a good play.
And also in this matchup, we've seen this matchup many times in previous series, and there's still division in the community who wins this. And I think one of the comments I like to make at this one is I think if King of Osmane is going to go for a slower Age 2 play, I guess it's not an all-in rush, but with this, I think his objective is to try and control the TP route for himself and then start to mass up a large, massive Abus guns behind this. Once King of Osmane is able to get at least 10 to 15 Abus guns out in the field, I think King will be more comfortable with the Iroquois going to the third age. Obviously, if the Iroquois gets out musket riders as well as forest prowlers, then Janissary mass will be a bit of a difficult thing to play with. But if you've got Abus guns to support the Janissaries, King of Osmane should have units to work with.
This is some stellar play from King of Osmane so far. I mean, he's killing the Explorer, killed off the Outlaw Rifleman, actually kept his Explorer alive at 6-8 hit points. A little bit lucky there, but still nice pickup for him. And then also going to kill off this trading post. He doesn't have the wooden bank to build another one for himself, but just having taken it down, 10 Janissaries on the field, he's aging up, LordRaphael is aging up, and King of Osmane is really sitting pretty with both a barracks and artillery foundry on the field, so his build has worked out very, very well for him so far.
I mean, that's an interesting one for King. He backed up the 700 coin shipment with 700 food to get the age up in after training 10 Janissaries, but he didn't train a single Abus gun in Age 2, so conscious decision there to try and forego military production to get to this third age. But look at this, King has full control of the stagecoach, while LordRaphael is up about 20 seconds earlier, 15 seconds earlier, and what does he have to show for it? He has a slightly stronger villager eco, but with no training posts and in-base defensive war huts, trying to push out and take down all 4 of King's trading posts will be a bit of a challenge for LordRaphael.
I mean, this is a pretty forgiving map. Of course, LordRaphael was able to herd in 2 additional hunts besides the starting one, and he also has 4,000 coin in base with these silver mines. So he's going to have the time, or rather not the time, but just the resources in order to make a hold and still come out economically fine. But of course, like you said, not having map control or much scouting information at all, going for the blind 13 forest prowlers, now building a stable with his villager, went for a very defensive second block war hut as well in base. I don't think it's too bad. Of course, there's not going to be much sneaky that King of Osmane can do unless he were like saving up 1,000 food in transition and was going to send 5 Spahi. I don't think there's much unexpected that LordRaphael needs to account for. Of course, we do see the 2 Falconets popping out. Janissaries not being upgraded yet, but that's okay. I think there's just some more in queue. Really, it's not too bad for LordRaphael. Of course, I think he is going to be forced back. Let's see if he gets the trading post. He does know the Falconets are on the way.
Did you see how that one single Forest Prowler went forwards to get some scouting information, and by giving that single one Forest Prowler to the Ottoman player, did allow basically LordRaphael to pull the rest of his infantry back away from the Falconets, and I think that extra scouting information from King was really useful, and if King sees where this Ottoman explorer is, he could use a bit of, yeah, here we go, stealth mode. Elite Forest Prowlers moving to the centre of the map, and with no explorer nearby, he can just basically sit on his entire units and just wait for an opportune moment to come out of the blue. And with a reinforcing batch of 5 musket riders, he could be a nice diversionary tactic to try and pull some of the Janissaries away and get a musket rider flank onto the Falconets. And with King of Osmane massing a huge mass of Janissaries, it's very evident and clear that he wants to protect these Falconets at all costs.
Playing very conservative. We do now see veteran Janissaries coming in. Force Prowler's going to get down that trading post, and I don't think they're... Okay, maybe not going to get down the trading post, but the Falconets are on the way. Might get a blast off.
Ooh, that's
a little bit of lag, yeah.
Should we pause it?
Yeah. I think it's time for me to dip, of course.
Well, you are from the North America side. We're all on the European side. That's really unfortunate. But like this, it's I don't know is whether it's yourself or Lord Raphael. It seems to be a bit of a drop because that was a sudden freeze, and beforehand it was doable. So if yeah, let's all press the save game button and stuff, right? Yeah.
Okay, saving unresponsive recovery. Yes, that's nice. I didn't even know you could save it. I thought it just automatically did it as soon as LordRaphael dropped out. And I think it might still do that, but either way, I think we've all saved the game state, so we should be good. Just need to pay attention to these slots. So LordRaphael was hosting. He will also need to be the host, I think, in the replayed game. I'm going to need to be slot 4. You're going to need to be slot 3. As far as who is lagging, I'm not really sure. I'm looking at the pings. You know, it's all sub 200 milliseconds. So if there were some spikes, I'm not quite sure what we could do. Of course, if it continues to lag, I can hop out. Of course, I'm the odd man out as the NA player.
Yeah, it might not just be Raphael's, and it might be a connection between any 4 of us, and I think if Raphael made a comment before that it was laggy, it might be himself, but then if it's himself being slightly laggy, then he really can't afford all his extra connections going on. So we'll have to see if we can get it back up and check what the pings are in the lobby. But unfortunate start for game number 1 here, but we can get this read in very soon. And it looks like Raphael is completely off anyway, so it kind of does indicate that it was more of a Raphael's own internet situation.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate there, but sometimes it just happens like that, I guess. I actually don't think that has happened so far in the winter tournament, at least on stream, so a little bit unfortunate that this is happening in the final series, and I don't think LordRaphael will be too happy about his unfortunate circumstances, but of course we'll have to wait until we get word from him whether or not he's able to log on online. Hopefully he'll be able to do that within maybe the next 5 minutes, or maybe he'll post something in the scheduling thread. Let's see.
I just realised that Rafa was the host of that game, so that, you know, that if you're saying that host has to be P1, then how does Rafa receive a save state file? Maybe we'll have to have a sub lobby. Well, I give my save state file to Rafa, then Rafa can reload that into the main game lobby, shall I say? You there?
Yes, sorry.
I don't like these pauses. It makes me feel like I'm on my own.
It's okay. It went in one ear and out the other. I am looking at the scheduling thread. LordRaphael, I think he said his PC overheated, and then he was like, never mind, the roommate switched off the safeguard, so I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe the router, yeah. Either way, we got the saved game, and LordRaphael, I think he's probably on his phone right now. And if his PC did overheat, hopefully he can give it a little bit of time to cool down and restart. hopefully nothing was lost or there's no damage done, and then we can get
I
going
mean,
into the
I
next,
don't
or
even
not the
mind.
next
I
game,
don't
but
mind if Rafa has to like pause the game for an hour, saying he has to take his friends or parents to the hospital and back or whatever. Like, I want to see this series, and I'm gonna stay here for as long as it takes for me to see the series. I'm sure everybody here also wants to see this epic series. So it sounds like Raphael is still around and should be back on very very soon for a second attempt. So it looks like it was two individual tech things there, with lag being one of them, but this tech issues Rafa ends has caused the other. But should be back on very very soon, and I don't know if we want to carry on as it is or we'll change. We'll have to discuss with the players in the lobby to see how those conditions
yeah,
work.
yeah.
We didn't actually redo a lag test. We kind of jumped on going, "Hey guys, we're casting, go play." And Rafa did turn up 5 minutes before the game as well, or 3 minutes, so not really enough time to kind of squeeze in that lag test there. So we'll have to see what we're going to do moving forward. But open impressions though, Comic, we did see that King of Osmane's essentially macro and micro was pretty decent there. I think he got a nice clean H3 H up time, and I've seen plenty of micro with Janissary Fire to try and pick off the Iroquois Explorer, his units from Age 1, as well as try and split up some of his units into stag mode to reduce that crack shot fire from the Eero. So I think King's been playing very well to start off this game. Obviously it's early stages in this best of 7 series, but if everything gets back on the way, we should be in for... I wouldn't be surprised it's going to be a 6 or a 7 game series. I'm expecting it to be more than 4.
I would hope at least a 4-2. You know, I would expect LordRaphael to be the eventual winner, but I'm hoping King of Osmane is able to, you know, take a few games there. And of course, if he wins the series, that would be a major, major boon to his profile, his tournament history. But yeah, my impressions of that game as well. I would give the slight edge to King of Osmane. I think as long as he keeps his cool, he needs to keep his Falconets alive. Or actually, uh, maybe. But either way, sorry. I was just thinking about something else.
I've got the Twitch chat open.
I think he needs.
I've got the Twitch chat open. It's 2 minutes behind, but I'm just seeing A is going. I could substitute if needed. I'm thinking, oh, that's actually a tempting idea, actually.
Yeah, another show match in the meantime. I did put a post in the thread for LordRaphael, just, you know, appreciative of his communication. I hope he keeps us posted. But I think, you know, while that is going on, while that's being sorted, I wouldn't mind a show match as long as LordRaphael, when he eventually does come on.
If we did have one, that must be the absolute first of having a tournament series final with a show match in between. Just like we could have for the grand final a halftime interlude of a show match between somebody else. So instead of having a best of 9 series, we have a best of 9 plus 1 game in the middle to just further extend the party, I guess. Comet, have you got any extra heads up when that final will be played?
Yes, so I think Mito's availability will be, he's looking for next Friday or Thursday. Of course, you know, has his working man, so I think he gets home, you know, probably around 17 or 18 GMT, and, you know, after hard day's work, it might be a little bit difficult for him, but we'll have to see what the situation is. Hopefully,
did you just say
next Thursday or Friday.
Did you just say Hazard and hard day's work?
He does have that irreverent personality, but...
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, just like how my work day goes, I mean, if I was to do something afterwards, I could start the day earlier, but you certainly would like have an hour to an hour and a half to switch off. But obviously, then you wouldn't want to be like playing your series super late as well. You want like a nice time to kind of give yourself a decent break between your working day and then the series, but not too long, so you start to get tired and sleepy. Because, you know, sometimes actually work does actually take it out of you, not physically but mentally, and you may be physically fit to go for a marathon, but if you're really tired and just mentally, you know, you've had enough for the day, then it might be quite a bit of an ask, especially for, you know, the high stakes final. But we have to see how that comes in. I would like it to be on the Friday, because I think Friday gives you that good feel good weekend factor. But if the Thursday is the only one they can do, then we'll have to see if both players are ready for that cast availability, and then get that advert posted.
Of course, we do see LordRaphael still sorting out his issues. I think he might be bogged down for a little bit longer.
Mm.
I would hope within the next 10 minutes he's able to come back online. But I think in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind, we probably. I think Azamp is probably joking. I wonder
I mean,
if we could organize a small show match
you
in
are
between.
technically admin, so like if it's your call goes, like I'm easy for whatever.
Yeah, we do see Masonator and Age of Killer actually in a game right now.
That's team game. How we just hop in for a 2v2, ESOC admins versus team, or ESOC media versus team.
Certain. I think that might be a little bit of a slaughterhouse game, but
Well, I mean, if you was wanting some sort of situation, I can post into the Twitch chat because that's 2 minutes behind. But um, it'll also give Rafa a bit of time to kind of relax because I imagine at his point he might be little bit stressed out if he's trying to run around his house going, "Where is the internet?" and trying to sort that out. Did you say it was internet issues or PC issues? Comment.
what's up?
Did you say it was internet issues or PC issues?
It could be either. I'm not entirely sure.
If it's his PC,
but of course he is having.
if it's his PC issues, I can just imagine like Raphael running downstairs frantically with his PC, just putting his PC out in the garden to kind of cool down, or chuck it in the garage or the freezer or the fridge, going, "Please cool down, I need it now." And we have Ollie Rez in the chat demanding a Harrison versus Comet K show match. Harcher says why not, but I hope that's not in reference to Ollie Vez's comment. That'd be pretty interesting if it was. Even B Winners hopping into the Discord saying he wants to do a show match. It looks like we have opportunities for plenty of action. And I don't know about you, but if Rafa joins into the Twitch stream later or comes into lobby and sees that we're in a game, Osmane's out of a game, I think he can be a bit reassured of that. So I mean, I'm up for it. So what do you reckon, Comet?
What was that? I think you cut out for me a little bit.
It's the action's on you if we want to do something else in the meantime.
Yes, so I do have a show match organized between Age of Killer and Azamp. Feel free to join that one.
Lol.
It's Age of Killer's game.
Go on then.
I'm not kidding. I actually do have that lined up, and I've told King of Osmane we're going to cast a show match in the meantime. And as soon as LordRaphael is on, he'll send me a ping on the ESOC forums, and then we can just hop out whatever the game is with this and carry on that way.
No. With Azak playing, we have to respect the Church of the Cow and stay for the end. And knowing that his opponent is Age of Killer, also known as Breeze Brothers, we may be in for a bit of a longer C file with walls. And let's actually just scrap the entire Raphael versus King of Osmane. They play way too standard for my liking.
Yeah.
Let's go for a best of 7 between A's and Breeze Brothers, and we may have 5 hours spare.
So I'm getting word directly from King of Osmane that LordRaphael is on the way. So unfortunately, our show match may have to pull the plug on that one a little bit too early. Anyway, they canceled the game for whatever reason.
Absolute tease. I was getting so excited then. I was ready to. I was getting ready. I saw a Russian mirror on Hudson Bay, and both Russians, they have quite a few defensive card shipments. They can go C, they can just spam lots of units, they can rush, and with A's and Breeze Brothers playing, both non-standard players, I was getting hyped for that, but looks like LordRaphael is actually back online. King of Osmane is around, and I think the best thing for King to do is pass the save file to LordRaphael.
I wonder, of course, so his PC overheated, so I don't think LordRaphael was able to grab the file there in most cases. And yeah, I think because they had that, they were speaking, I think probably have each other on WhatsApp or whatever. should get that file, be able to get that file over, and then we can start the game. LordRaphael will host. KINGofOsmane join next. Harrison, you'll go in, and then I'll go in last as slot 4.
So obviously, King needs to host to pass the file to the LordRaphael, and we could have a cheeky situation where King goes, "Oh, I don't know how to do this," and then, "Oh, I can't get it to work. Can I claim the admin win?" How does that work out?
I would hope it doesn't work out that way. Okay, so we have host game, save game.
I suppose we're joining so I can also get the file. Join the game so we all get the same. Let's all get. It might actually be a scenario to load the game in, isn't it? Instead of just a normal. You can load a game. Malaysian ping. I mean, I guess you could do it that way. That seems a little awkward. But sure
what you have to do?
Sure, it's easier in the game.
It's not a custom map.
Is it a scenario?
Basically, it's kind of like, it's not a scenario, but it's you select it via the same way.
Oh right, that's cool. Is there any way you can sort out your mic as well? So it's been a little bit roboty and a bit kind of blocky, shall I say? Kind of a little cuts in, cuts out.
No, 100%. I have had this issue on Discord before. I'll try fudging with my settings a little bit. It's just such a bit annoying on Discord. I can get it perfectly fine on OBS, but Discord for some reason. Let me know if it's a little bit better now. I'll like stop talking and start talking, and hopefully it shouldn't be as choppy as before.
Your presence is good enough as it is. I mean, even if you're just there speaking one word a minute, the presence is just enough to make this that quality content. What can I say?
Oh, you're making me blush. Okay.
My coffee's getting cold as well. I might need to get myself a second coffee
awful.
While this happens. It's just like,
may as well
I was already
drop
teed
some
up.
ice in there.
And who knows, at this point we could be seeing that massive engagement between the Ottoman army and the Iroquois, mid-map, fighting for control, 5 spies just being sent for the Ottoman player, Iro has reinforced with 5 cuirassiers, followed by 6 vet Kanyas, and it could be an epic clash in the centre, but no, we're talking about save game files in the lobby. That is a classic ESOC tournament. Are you still in the same lobby, or have you gone out and done the save game file yet?
I'm still in the same lobby. Was there something that needed to be done with the save file?
Don't you need to load up a new game with the save file like module instead of just a normal 1v1? Because it looks like we're just in a normal game lobby instead of the actual specific load save game.
Yes, but the catch is LordRaphael will need to be the slot 1 player.
Okay,
I'll actually mention that to them too.
So if you actually load up the save game file, we all get the same file, then LordRaphael rehosts under that file.
Yeah. I think KINGofOsmane is sending it via Skype, but
I mean, if both players are alright, we could just do a different matchup on game 1, but I guess that's not necessarily in the spirit of the tournament. But I tell you what's awkward. As soon as we load that game in, a cannonball is in midair, and how do you try and micro a cannonball in midair? Like you just kind of load up, have that initial pause spike, and just play the game and realize you've just lost 8 Farge Prowlers to 2 cannons, and go, oh well, GG anyway.
I think LordRaphael is definitely going to be forced back there. Of course, you know, he was starting to piece together his military, you know, what would be his answer to the 2 Falconet shipment. I think he had, of course, 5 forest prowlers at the sorry, 5 musket riders on the field where we last saw him. Probably had some on the way as well, but he's definitely going to need to get his mass up. And I think King of Osmane needs to protect those 2 Falconets at all costs before he can get in another threat shipment like the Memluks or the Spahi to balance out his composition. Raphael right now, he did. So Osmane got the Osmane gave the file to LordRaphael via Skype. Right now, LordRaphael is putting the file into his folder, and then once LordRaphael has gotten situated, then he'll be able to host, and then we can continue on with the game.
All right, okay. At least it's in the pipeline, because I'm just sat thinking. Surely the simple answer is just King of Osmane host and save game. Everyone loads the same file and just leave the lobby and start again, and it'd be much quicker. I guess it's in same place as recorded games. Well, there's a specific folder for save game, isn't it?
I believe so.
Everyone just frantically backing out into their file explorer. Age of Empires 3.
100%. That's what I'm doing right now, trying to locate it myself.
Yeah,
too.
no, I've got it. It's the same place. Copy as
Yes.
text.
Yes. I know these players are German, so their operating systems might be in German, but hopefully they're able to make the translation. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out.
Well, it's the same
Always
place. It's the
concerned
same
about
place
that,
as
you know.
recorded games. I imagine LordRaphael has been in and out of that recorded games file many times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially in preparation for the last major tournament we had.
Definitely as one of the top players, he is very, very often uploading recorded games, at the very least, if not also reviewing his future opponents' records.
Just imagine if we have to push back the next series of today's games back from 1 PM because this is still going on.
So I think we're hitting the 40-minute mark, and we're about to get into the first 10 minutes of game 1.
Right.
So LordRaphael PM.
If we're doing this versus if this eventually goes into YouTube note, guys, let's just not include this part and cut all this midsection out, please. File transfer started from unresponsive recovery 29 to 2020 10 21 52.a3ysav. Nice.
So I've got a file transfer started on my end as well, so hopefully we should be back in there.
Did you change your civ when you went into the Age Breeze Brothers game?
I don't believe I did. I think I was always on Russia. Should be fine.
Cool.
But it would make a lot of sense to double check that.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, has my mic straightened out a little bit? Not as robot-y anymore?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. I need to check about the lag issue, because you might have just been around all this time just to load in, just to jump back out so that the file starts again.
All right. Yeah, that definitely would have been a smart play for us to actually make a lag test. But I guess sorting out this is kind of the prime issue.
And obviously, if you weren't here, we would have never sorted this issue out again. Not all the time, so let's at least get through the first game and see how we move on for the rest of the game. And remember, we will be jumping back into game 1 between Eero and Otto, and the situation is both players have successfully gone to the Fortress Age in a semi-fast fortress. Otto has full TP control, has 2 Falconets guided by a lot of Janissaries, and we should see a big volley coming in from the Falconets just as we're about to start on. So hopefully...
This is so absolutely wild. Of course, all of us are loading in right now. I think they were going to ask for a pause to start off the game, so
yes,
we'll see what they want to do.
So essentially, somebody would have pressed a pause and the game would have registered that, and just kind of give it 10 seconds to kind of let it settle down. But yeah, I've got so I've got the pause down. Osmane's ready. Raphael's. I want to see when Raphael is ready before we start.
Yes. Are you ready?
We go.
Oh, we're back in,
Worked
guys.
like butter.
Welcome back to game number 1, part 2 again between LordRaphael and KINGofOsmane. Both players have successfully rejoined the game in a save game file. Oh no, Jesus. Oh, what? Oh my, I was so happy when it got started again. Oh, right. Try again, I guess, or... Because I'm back into the single-player lobby now instead of online, so I have to sign back in.
So I'm not sure if we should start from where the we should start with like the out of sync file, or if we should
No,
do
no.
the...
No, reload the original save, because everyone's got...
Yeah.
Because everyone had that save file, because we started on that file. But, something must have changed. Are you sure you were Russia in the first game?
Yes, I'm 100% sure.
Right. I don't think I've changed any civs since then. I was playing China last. Was I playing China last? I haven't changed anything at my end. Yeah. I'm waiting for that Twitch chat to catch up and just see everybody's oh, B winners going for I bet for OOS before. That is B winner's fault. That is an insider job. Everybody turn on him.
Oh, that's magic.
Right.
Oh, shit. Fuck.
Right, I'm joining game into P3.
I should be good to join.
Wait, are we doing out of sync recovery now?
I think it should be fine. Which one we do?
Yes.
Was a save game. This one is the ooze recovery. I think it should be fine. I have to see if it like keeps on periodically out of syncing, like if it lasts for 10 seconds every interval, in which case we might want to find some alternative measure. Hopefully at some point, and hopefully this game, it just continues on smoothly and
Are we? It looks like we may be starting again. Just is this the OOS or the? I can't ready up. Why can't I ready up?
The file transfer is still in process.
Yeah, that's cool. Ooh, this is some tense stuff to get us underway, and maybe we can just turn everything off, turn everything back on, pretend none of this happens, and start for game number 1 fresh again. And if this doesn't work, is there a case to basically pull in a different map and say that's game number 1 of the series, or is that be a bit too far?
Be a bit too far, I guess. One thing, and I'm just saying this, take it with a grain of salt. Don't take my word as a tournament admin, but just as a spectator. One thing we could perhaps do is perhaps ask the players to do the exact same things they did in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Oh no, I can't do
that. Yeah, you don't think so? That's fine.
Are you ready?
I've got the game saved. Looking good so far.
You know what? I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy. Because I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen. It's not gonna work, is it? Right, that idea, for the time being, is out. We've got to do something different now. Rest in peace, ladies and gentlemen. We're still here. We're gonna persevere on. And luckily, that's only effect. Just imagine if that was the final game of the series. Like, what do we do if that was game 7? Alright, Comet, it's your call what we do instead, because it's either re-host that game, same matchup, or kind of suggest something different, because we don't want to have it being unfair for the players kind of 10 minutes in, same matchup, and they know exactly what's going on. But if we can kind of work around something different, like a different matchup, that might work for both players, I think.
I think we'll give this one more shot. Maybe start from the original file, the save game file. I'll actually message LordRaphael.
Which file is that, though? There's so many files now.
It should be the save game file because we saved it at the point where, LordRaphael was dropping. So it won't be the ooze file. Okay, LordRaphael doesn't want to try the save game file.
I'm
Don't
with
have time
Raph
for
on that
this.
one.
Okay. Okay. So I think actually LordRaphael is choosing to forfeit the map. Okay. Yeah, LordRaphael is going to forfeit this map. So King of Osmane is going to take game number 1. A little bit of fortunate, but LordRaphael is saying he doesn't have time for this. I'll give him the win.
Wait, really? I suppose it was LordRaphael who did drop, but I'm just thinking, can we check a different matchup to start off with, or that seems a bit like, oh, that's a kind of sucks. Like, but yeah, it's all cool.
Yeah, that was what Raphael messaged me, so he just wants to get on with this, and I can understand. He's a busy man.
Right, after all that, guys, we're into game number 2, and interesting game number 1 to start off with, shall we say? And once this next game starts, we're gonna have to reset and get back into the groove of things anyway. Well, we've managed to restart a 3v3 before while with me casting, so this does work, and I'm amazed how that's managed to restart before. So the save files do kind of work.
Lag test before starting in with game number 2, just to make sure it's good with both players. I think, of course, it shouldn't really be an issue with connection that is causing out of sync or drop, or the need for us to do that what's it called? The save game process. But still, I think it would be wise to do a lag test right now, and issue going into game 2 that would provide us any more snags in the series.
Well, on the bright side, at least we get to see more than 4 games. There's always got to be a silver lining to these clouds, and at least we're just having some Age of Empires 3 on a Saturday morning is good enough for me. So if it's King Osmane's pick, I wonder what King Osmane is going to pick at this point, and even King Osmane's going for a quick be right back, and I suppose both his players have basically been sat at their PCs now for essentially an hour, and probably feeling a little bit like fresh but a bit stressed out, a bit weird as in what's all going on. I think what we just need is a nice game number 2 to kind of break both players in. Hopefully some like Ports versus Brits, Wars, Pond action, Fish Boom, an hour game, just to kind of break these guys into another long series, and hopefully it's not like a 5-8 minute fast rush game with like Spain, Otto, or those kind of types of games. But it's on King of Osmane to pick, and what could King of Osmane pick? I did see that he was thinking about picking the Portuguese into game number 1 of Mendocino, and so the Portuguese may be a sensible pick for game number 2 in New England. We do have the town centre into the second age to control some TPs, control ponds, can send the caravels and frigate as usual, and so Osmane may want to do that, and he's gone for the Spanish.
Indeed. I don't really know King of Osmane to be a Spanish player. I do know that Osmane is quite good friends with Haza, so maybe he can pick up a trick or two. He has picked up a trick or two from Haza, who is definitely the strongest Spain player active. Of course, LordRaphael is also pretty skilled with Spain himself, but Spain is the locked civilization of King of Osmane, and we'll have to see what LordRaphael picks. I'm actually not sure how the Spanish Iroquois matchup goes. I think it's really supposed to be really favorable for Iroquois, so we could just see LordRaphael counterpicking with that here.
Isn't every civ still massively favoured for that civ? Like Spain will struggle with any early age 2 pressure, or you can just kind of wall up and out boom them, and just if you pick off the Falcons in age 3, then you have the advantage at that point. So it takes the Spain player to play really out their skin to win most matchups. And I think in this kind of slight skill difference, I think LordRaphael has a bit more comfort in which civ he wants to pick, and maybe actually thinking about what civs he wants to save for future maps, because we do know that the game number 3 will be on Bonnie Springs as well, and opting for a Spanish mirror, and I have seen the interjection is in the chat, so Inter, get the hype going. This is your favourite matchup, a Spain mirror, and ooh, maybe we need to get Inter to co-cast this one because he'll be hyped off the wall. He'll be bouncing around his room up and down. And I wonder if we'll see classic mirror builds of FFs, or maybe we could even see something crazy like archaic infantry training 700 wood, 600 wood, and go for like 50 pikemen. There is a training route in the middle, advanced training post, ponds. So it's not as vanilla as, let's say, Great Plains Spain mirror, shall I say, but 240 milliseconds ping to Raphael. That's something. Well, that's a quarter of a second.
So mostly my ping is good. Like right now, it's 180 milliseconds. At other times, though, we do get spikes like that. I did see LordRaphael and myself, our ping was 240 milliseconds. I do know when I did play my series with LordRaphael, LordRaphael was actually the player to knock me out in the advanced division. It was pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth, so no complaints there. But of course, with 4 players instead of just 2, might be a different situation.
Well, if both players are ready for that Spain mirror and you've already done your admin-y lag testing thing, then let's get this show going and let's get into game number 2. And we've had a bit of a tricky start, but we get going. And Osmane is asking for if this is a lag test or normal.
To Raphael.
Comment: is this a lag test or normal?
Of course, if Raphael wants to just start it, I know he, like I said, he's a busy man. We'll just start it, and of course, if the players mention something about the lag, I can see right now I am pinging 250 milliseconds. I'll just drop out.
Would you want to drop out now or drop out during the game? Because one's slightly easier to do than the other.
It should be good to start with. It should be good for me to start in the match. It'll be fine, I think.
Cool. Let's once this game starts, let's get going again.
Here, I'll steal your thunder for the moment. Of course, we do have Game 2 in our Advanced Finals series between LordRaphael and KINGofOsmane. KINGofOsmane, of course, the underdog in this fight, but he is leading the series 1-0 after. If you've skipped to this point, I suppose you'll want to just take a look at the record, see what happened in Game 1. A little bit strange, but we do see KINGofOsmane leading this series. His locked civilization on New England, map 2, is Spain, with LordRaphael counter-picking as a Spain himself. And so we're going to see a Spanish mirror, LordRaphael spawning into the south. Let's take a quick look at the hunts.
Yeah, pretty even for both players. As essentially, King's got slightly forward hunts. Could only really be played with the outpost, but kind of risky. And coin mines not looking too bad. LordRaphael has a very safe second coin, but the second coin for King is not too far. And then the third and fourth is mid-map, and the other one's on the island. So I think matchup in terms of map balance is all right, and we do see a very low crate start, just a plus 100 food crate start for both players. So 300 food, 1 wood crate. So likely just be a single house coming down and not being able to afford much other specialties in the Age 1. Not likely to see any Age 1 trading posts before transitions to Age 2. And we both see both explorers moving to the top left of the map. And it looks like KINGofOsmane's already scouted the 75 food treasure and going in just before LordRaphael's nearby to challenge it. And even managing to get some extra damage off onto the LordRaphael explorer there.
Don't mean to undercut you, but I think, and I've checked the map, we have, I think LordRaphael is actually missing a gold mine on his side. You can see there's one in his base, one behind, one on his side, but the 4th gold mine is kind of over the crossing, and I don't think it should spawn like that.
That's very middle map though.
Middle map, but I think the map is supposed to spawn with 8 coin mines, if I'm not mistaken. Or sorry, not 8, but there's supposed to be 8 on the mainland and 1 on the island. But we've only got 8 total. There's supposed to be 9 total.
I mean, it's obviously your admin, so your call. I was going to say it was relatively even. Possibly slightly better for hunts for King of Osmane as well. However, both players have herdable hunts and extra hunts in the mid-map to gather there. So, looks like we're going to go for a into game number 2.
I think that was really questionable. I mean, there's 2 mines for Raphael, but the next one is... Yeah, no, there was definitely one missing for Raphael.
Cool. Let's get back into it and just carry this on.
A little bit unfortunate there. I know it's always kind of a killjoy to have to do that, but we also want to...
I suppose the actual picture in the top right does suggest 8. So you could kind of... So yes, you are correct in saying that. And the hunts in the actual picture top right seem to be balanced. So hopefully going for a slightly more balanced map there. The coin mine may have despawned on top of a native post. However, who knows, we may see this game being over in 8 minutes anyway, so this could be a long game, this could be a short game, this could be all the action burning in 10 minutes into the Fortress Age, so we have to see how this plays out as we definitely transition to the next stage. And yes, we do see all 8 coin mines spawning this time, and I'm going to go for a balanced hunt spawn for both players already.
I'm looking at it. I haven't spawned in past the saving EP recorded games, but it does look good for both players. Yeah, looks great.
Both players
honestly.
have 3 nearby hunts, and then everything else is essentially kind of mid-map or far away, for it can be anybody's hunts necessary. There's one near the far right trading post, which is slightly closer to Raphael, but I'm calling that as mid-hunt or mid-map, open to both players to go. So yes, we're spawning into game number 2 of this best of 7 series in the into the Advanced Division finals of the ESOC Winter 2020. We have had a little bit of hiccups with game number 1 being disconnected, admin win given to King of Osmane, and game number 2, this is the second attempt of this game due to map bounce reasons spotted early on in the first attempt. However, looks like the map is good, looks like both players are here ready to go, it looks like Comet is with us as well to carry on the casting. It's currently 1-0 to King of Osmane, and we have a Spain mirror on New England with King of Osmane picking the Spanish civilization to spawn into this map, with LordRaphael, his opponent, counter-picking with the Spanish as well, so a mirror matchup for game number 2.
Off the bat, we do see King of Osmane starting to creep that native Iroquois tomahawk. I didn't take a look. Harrison, did you catch the resource starting crates?
I do believe it was a wood start, because King of Osmane has an extra 100 wood on the floor already, and LordRaphael also has a house down with the 100 wood in bank. So both players are saving that extra 100 wood to be used in transition to Age 2, and I'm sure both players will have a deck which includes ATP at some point, so we have to see if both players will be sending the advanced trading post. And in a mirror matchup, if your opponent sends the advanced trading post, I assume you're kind of forced to also send the advanced trading post as well if you want to try and maintain some sort of footing on the stagecoach route.
Might hold your tongue, because I think as long as you're able to establish that second foundation, and that is a very, very important thing to do, not having advanced trading posts might actually be even a little bit better than having it. As long as, like I mentioned, as long as you're able to get that second one, I think you should be in a good spot to, prevent that ATP from being really valuable. Because if the Spanish player that sent ATP wants to make use of that, and, he wasn't able to get 3 of the starting trade posts, he's going to have to invest at mid-map. And so that kind of locks him out strategically from what he can do. And I think that kind of actually puts him at a disadvantage compared to the non-ATP player. But it could be an option. Let's see what's in deck. We do see ATP in deck for King of Osmane and in deck for LordRaphael, so it definitely could still be in the cards for either player.
Well, you wouldn't have it not. You wouldn't have it not in deck for this situation. I expect both players have started off with the 3 settlers shipments as shipment number 1, and we do see both 3 settlers have come in. King of Osmane has 1 shipment ready to go. LordRaphael is about to get his next shipment, and King of Osmane has not yet sent his second Age 1 shipment, so we might have to see if he is going to elect to send it. It basically depends if they're going to send their ATP in this first age, whether they're wanting to commit to the trading route. And both players at this point are thinking against it. And as you say, as long as you can get 2 train posts down, then I guess it's arguably not beneficial, but you will need to gather 400 wood to get both TPs down, as compared to the reduced wood count that ATP provides your opponent, and both players still not sending that shipment, so I think we can conclude that both players are electing to not send the advanced trading post in this match. What do we see from LordRaphael? Kind of moving in with a dog, Iroquois, Tomahawk, and both players have the Iroquois Tomahawk, so mirror kind of treasures. And you know, LordRaphael, he's waiting to train some extra war dogs, and this delayed train post may actually hurt the Spanish player a little bit. But once King of Osmane will see this army of war dogs, he may have to run away. But with an explorer speed of only 4.5 stats, with the war dogs having a 5.0 stat, it looks like these dogs are just going to chase away the other Spanish explorer and the Iroquois war Tomahawk, and looks like these units are going to go down for the King of Osmane, and LordRaphael should have then good control to be able to drop down maybe a second TP as well as a possible third one if he wants to go for maybe a 700 wood crate to start off his Age 2 play.
I mean, of course, both players going for the outpost. That's definitely the strongest Age of Politician on this map. And we see a very forward outpost coming out for King of Osmane. LordRaphael equally, probably, I mean, he's going to see the outpost wagon for... a little cheeky there.
Here we go, boys. 2 towers right on top of each other, and there might not even be any spawn distance in between the 2 towers, so I don't think we'll see any units despawn, but certainly do not ship any crates forward to your outpost, because it is being at risk of being, picked up by the opponent rather easily. But both on the North Pond, so it looks like King's wanting to try and control the trading post and a bit of map control on the North Pond, but I think slightly overextended there from King, actually, considering that the other outpost is right next to it.
There's a joust in the base of King of Osmane. The dogs trying to get the explorer down, and town center fire coming in on the dogs. Let's see what's going to be the case. Of course, even if this explorer goes down, it's going to get revived in the fortress age. Oh, whoa, the tomahawk. Getting the last shot in there. Actually going to take down the explorer, and that's a nice little 45 XP for LordRaphael. Also might want to keep some villagers, as you were saying?
Yeah, I missed that, but I was about to say that LordRaphael only trained 2 villagers in transition if he aged up with a 15 vil, and is already on his way up to the Fortress Age, and he has cut villager production in the second age just to try and squeeze in that age up to the third age faster than he would do. He does have a shipment stacked. It looks like King of Osmane has sent another shipment, so LordRaphael may be following us up with a 700 wood now, or saving the wood for a unit shipment straight off the bat into the third age, but a shipment discrepancy between LordRaphael and King of Osmane already, so we have to see if LordRaphael is going to commit to another colonial age shipment, or is he just going to go pure Age 3 from now on?
You're right, that's really strange. No 700 wood coming out. Okay, there it is. So I think 6 for Delarose was actually shipped by King of Osmane, which is kind of curious.
7 for Delarose.
So that's what he was... Oh yes, that's what he was doing with the additional shipment. That's why he seemed like he was 1 behind, and LordRaphael wasn't sending 700 wood. But in fact, 700 wood did pop out for LordRaphael, so mirrored build orders so far, except for, of course, the 7 orders for King of Osmane.
Okay, so here's interesting to note. LordRaphael aging up with the Admiral of the Ocean Sea. Caravel plus 400 wood. Caravel shipped to the King of Osmane's home pond, which has no outpost covering fire for it, so be able to ship there and pick off any reinforcements from this barracks. extra 400 wood at base, and with the market being dropped down as well, it looks like that LordRaphael will have enough wood to get the hunting dogs and then place the mines, steel traps on top of it, as well as having enough wood for maybe a stable as well and some houses, and will have to and should have enough kind of he's changed it at the last second to go into the outpost next to King, and I actually liked his original position of where it was, and you see that this LordRaphael, his caravel is already down to 500 HP. These anti-ship attacks from the outpost do a lot of damage, and LordRaphael, that caravel is nearly down. He's got to do something.
Actually looking like a really, really tough position for LordRaphael. Like you called it, that if that caravel has spawned in the forward pond, at all points, LordRaphael would have been able to harass the incoming reinforcements for KINGofOsmane, but having switched it at the last second, and now losing his own outpost, taking a lot of damage on the caravel, getting nothing in on KINGofOsmane's outpost, and now barreling towards LordRaphael's base, we have 4 hussars and a lot of heavy infantry, 5 skirmishers popping out, but that's not going to handle these hussars too well.
Emergency pop of Minutemen to try and kill his hussars before they go into the Roleros, but with 10 musketeers trained in transition as well, LordRaphael did not train a single unit in transition and has just been basically waiting with his resources to train skirmishers and other units in the Third Age, but no units in queue for the time being. A 5 Lancer shipment straight away into these 2 skirmishers, and this entire army underneath the Spanish TC of LordRaphael is currently unchallenged. 9 Rodelero shipments, first card from LordRaphael into the Third Age, and these musketeers need to power onto these Rodelos straight away to try and get some extra damage, but Lancers versus Rodeleros, although rods have the 40% range resist, this range covering fire from the musketeers is enough to kind of pick off these units as well. So LordRaphael appears to have somewhat stabilised off his first card, but is still under pressure from another 8 musketeers underneath that town centre.
Another shipment coming out for KINGofOsmane. The 4 Lancers going to pop into the base of LordRaphael, and there's just nothing Raphael can really do. He kind of has to wait until he gets that next shipment. He's down in the villager count, doesn't have any resources being gathered, so he's not going to have any unit production. So it's really, really tough. We do see the 5 Lancers, which is great. It's a great shipment. Could definitely make mincemeat of those musketeers, as long as he isn't getting caught with, like the Lancers and the green musketeers together. That's a fight he could take, but it's still like such a tenuous position, and he's already so behind.
I think KINGofOsmane is wise to back off this point. He doesn't need to fully overcommit. He's killed off a few villagers. He's idled certainly a lot, and those 5 Lancers were from the shipments, but no other units really been trained for LordRaphael. And looking at the units in queue now, he does have 2 rods in queue, but LordRaphael's housing popped. He's not got too much food in the count. He's got steel traps, but no place of mines. He's just sent himself another Lancer shipment, but I think KINGofOsmane could just kind of sit back with what he's got. He's starting to train with skirmishers, and if he really felt a little cheeky, he could send the frigate into the pond of LordRaphael as well, considering that that caravel has already been picked off by KINGofOsmane's forward outpost.
Here comes the Spanish death ball for KINGofOsmane. Of course, we see Lancers, 9-rod shipment, and a decent ranged infantry mass behind it. But LordRaphael going for the sneak play. Of course, he's hiding his unit so far, but some villagers caught out in the open, so he's forced to engage now if he wants to preserve those units, but pretty good positioning for KINGofOsmane, I think. Of course, Lancers on heavy, your ranged infantry isn't great, but it provided a really good transition for these Rodeleros inwards. The Lancers were, wait, maybe this fight isn't...
About to say, King was pushing in with no Falconet support, but I tell you what, these dogs have been absolutely huge in this engagement. No multipliers against them, doing a decent 22 hand attack versus Lancers, and clean up for LordRaphael, but he has cost him those 2 Falconet shipments, and King, with all that XP generated from that engagement, same for LordRaphael, he should be able to reinforce with a Falconet or a frigate shipment, and frigate with the outpost, be very hard for LordRaphael to break that sea supremacy on this north pond if King wants to go for the frigate. He also may want to think about going for 12 pikes in a situation, or maybe 5 husks to try and shore up his outpost from this Lancer mass at the moment.
This is a really strange game. Of course, LordRaphael won that fight in his base, gonna live to see another day, but is it really enough? If you look at the recalc, of course, King of Osmane is now 10 villagers ahead. But LordRaphael, he has to make something happen. And there is actually a possibility with the not so keen macro from King of Osmane, a very, very exposed hunt, nothing protecting it. But that's not information that LordRaphael is privy to. You know, that's kind of just our caster's advantage.
LordRaphael training 5 war dogs from his nearby explorer. The war dogs pop in, and with these war dogs and lancers, that should be enough to clean up these rod mass. But with an extra batch of rods being trained, now there's about 13 rods on the field. These with their huge hand resist multipliers should be enough to overcome and push back the dogs and the lancers. But LordRaphael's now seen this. He should be able to try and play around this, but having sent 5 hussars in the back behind this, that may have been a good shipment at the time. At this point, what else could you have sent? Spanish player has no access to ranged infantry. 12 pikes not necessarily useful at this point, so yeah, it's essentially the 5 hussars or an upgrade card or the frigate.
I'm hoping King of Osmane just keeps on training Redeleros. That's all he needs. He has the 2 Falconet shipment in his pocket, and so he doesn't really need skirmishers. Like 5 skirmishers is all he needs to one-shot a Redelero or a pikeman of Lordrathael. And so if he gets the Falconets and he just keeps on the Redelero production, anyway, we have a fight going on right now.
Yeah, it looks like the Rodellos were focusing down the War Dogs then, just allowing the Lancers to attack for free behind, and that was a really nice micro from LordRaphael. And by the sound of your expression there, you probably wasn't expecting that outcome from that engagement there, but we do see a reinforcing batch of rods onto the cavalry, all his cavalry is going down, skirmishers focusing this last War Dog, and now it's just a skirmish and a few rods versus skirmishers, and LordRaphael is out of cavalry shipments really, and he's out of useful shipments as well. Osmane still has the Falconets, both players can ship the frigate as well, so we haven't seen any actual water play for the time being, and now with this momentum taken from both players, this 5 hussar shipment is actually clutch at this point. Skirmishers unprotected, 2 lancers trying their best to reinforce, but lancers are not even good versus hussars. 12 pikes being shipped, a few skirmishers and tower supports should be enough to try and keel off the pikemen with the hussars retreating, and with this situation now, I think King's got the safety to do what he wants, and so these settlers on the right hunt actually not scouted from King, or maybe King just trying to play it safe. Maybe he scouted this dead deer to the top. He's just trying to do something different now and trying to move the action away from LordRaphael's base.
That was insane. I think I wanted to say it for a long time, but like you called, LordRaphael training those 5 dogs in that first engagement was really the MVP that swung that fight for him. The Redeleros, DPSing downing dogs, which they don't have a multiplier against, really allowed those Lancers to put in work, and good micro from LordRaphael with the focus-fired skirmishers won him that fight. But then there was a small reversal. All of the cavalry got cleaned up. 5 hussars popped for King of Osmane, and suddenly, the tides turned. And I think with a much inferior economy behind LordRaphael's colony, it could be a really difficult position. Obviously, he's trying to siege down this outpost so he can perhaps do a defensive frigate. But like I mentioned, you look at the recalc, and King of Osmane is actually light years ahead.
It's also like this outpost has played its part. It's sent the unit shipments forward. It's even sent the Falconets. King Osmane has not yet sent his Falconets yet, so if they do spawn, they will be spawning at the town centre at this point. But this is actually baiting all of Raphael's units in. And the Falconets come out and should turn onto the pikemen straight away. But just imagine if this was a frigate right now. But this is keeping the Lancers interested, and rods and hussars nearby to pick off these units. Actually, he's training away his Falconets, but the entire army of LordRaphael is just about to be cleaned up by the remaining hussars and Redeleros, and those Falconets actually was enough just to keep the army interested. And yes, Raphael has lost his entire army to some dummy Falconets. It gets picked off by King Osmane, and then Osmane could have charged onto the rest of Rapha's eco onto the right hand side and picks up game number 2. So currently, after the Game 1 technical issues, it's 2-0 for King of Osmane.
That is a major upset. And of course, we'll have to see if King of Osmane can keep up the steam. Of course, LordRaphael was the favored player in this series to, take it, just favored in general to win any series, but now up 2-0. Of course, there was the technical issues in Game 1, but a really well-played Game 2 here is going to put a second point on the board for King of Osmane. And he only needs 2 more, so if he wins another game, he's going to be on match point, and he gets 4 tries to do it. And I think he is very, very happy here.
Yeah, I was looking at a few people's decks, and I've got King of Osmane's deck open. I can't. It does say LordRaphael, but I think that might be a little glitch. But certainly one of the players has the Lance upgrade card, but no hand cavalry combat and no infantry combat as well. All the other unit shipments, but a really aggressive all in, and no frigate shipment from either player in this game. So yeah, it looks like King of Osmane had the more aggressive deck. LordRaphael having 9 Rodoleros and 12 pikes. No space for the 8 Rodoleros in the third age. Does have the cavalry and infantry upgrade, so had a slightly longer deck, but crucially ran out of that extra 1 unit shipments, which King of Osmane used in his advantage. And yeah, I was really impressed. I think quite a lot of that game boiled down to using war dogs against hand infantry, having Rodoleros onto the cavalry, and is mainly just a Lancer, Rodolero, war dog competition. We saw a few skirms trained from both players, but really in small numbers, enough to do a little bit of poking action, but no player committing to any skirm production as the game went on. No dragoons as well, so it was just purely hand cavalry, and it managed that King of Osmane managed to clean that up with the colonial Rodoleros, and at no point did he research veteran Rodoleros as well. So well done for King to try and pull that out with some Age 2 units. I think if he managed to squeeze in a veteran Rods upgrade, that would have really swung his advantage in a few of those fights a little bit better.
Definitely, it's so hard to squeeze it in, especially in a Spain mirror, which is all action. But yeah, that definitely would have helped. But yeah, I mean, just in a Spain mirror, I don't put it past anybody to botch getting that upgrade. It's just such a huge investment when you're constantly jousting for control of the map. Like, there's pretty much never an off moment in a Spain mirror.
Yeah, the villager population,
Typically.
You can see how LordRaphael loses about 5 vills and bits, but also is idled and unable to train about 4 or 5 vills at some point, maybe 3 to 4, and so just falls behind Osmane's vill count by essentially 10 at one point. It was 27 to 17, and looking at the military population, King lost his army in LordRaphael's base, but that was justified. Afterwards, he lost the rest of his army again, and that was a bit of a swing for LordRaphael at that point, but because he had that 10 extra vill pop, he managed to reinforce with equal numbers for the next engagement, and then the final one had enough reinforcements and eco tempo to kind of push forwards and finish that game with a larger military count and eco count, and then Raphael out of military shipments, out of steam, no way to come back into that one, and so that was a good game from King of Osmane. I think that will give Osmane that belief that he can pull through this series and come out the other end as a eventual victor in this final game as well. And just imagine you're up against the most favoured person, but you're actually leading 2 games to 0. Surely you must be believing in yourself now.
I mean, that game we kind of saw, it reminds me of a game that LordRaphael played against Mito a few months back. I think it was in, if I'm not mistaken, I'll say the Underused Cup. I think it was a Dutch mirror that LordRaphael played against Mito on Mendocino. And in that game, LordRaphael went for the 8 pike shipment in Age 2 and tried to go for a timing push on Mito's base. Of course, that didn't pan out, and it panned out pretty disastrously. To get back into the game, LordRaphael did something pretty ingenious. He actually went for a fast industrial. Of course, that still didn't pan out for him, but it was a really, really entertaining game. And I think, likewise, we saw LordRaphael try something a little bit cheeky, something like that 8 pike shipment in the Dutch mirror. He went for, the aged politician of the 400 wood and the caravel, which could have been like really good. We were seeing it. He had the water flag in the forward pawn. I think if he had just kept with that original decision and hadn't, kind of chickened out basically with putting that water flag in the back pawn, which ended up really poorly for him. That caravel just didn't do anything, and I think eventually it got picked off by the outpost, having accomplished nothing. I think it could have been a really different game.
Yeah, the caravel survived long enough to get like a couple shots off on some raiding cavalry to the north, or Lance's path around to the north, or trying to retreat from Raphael's base, but it was basically undecided whether he wanted to commit underneath the outpost or not, and by the time he decided to not, he had already lost 500 HP due to 5 shots from the outpost, and at that point, with a 300 HP caravel, you can't really commit to the ranged infantry as well, so he was basically stuck in his corner, away from where the action was, and that's fine. That's fine there, but if the frigate then came in afterwards, the frigate could have picked up the outpost, and then you'd have a frigate and caravel to try and pick off any remaining water shipments from the other player, and may not survive against the frigate, but certainly do enough damage that wouldn't require any further defensive investment from LordRaphael. So I liked the Admiral of the Ocean Sea play, but he sent the 700 wood, he also sent the 400 wood, so basically 1100 wood in Age 2, and went for a really slow play against an Age 2 play of, was it 7 Rodilleros with a 4 Hussar on Age Up, and that there is about 15 military pop just given to his opponents, which just basically went into LordRaphael's base and essentially killed 10 vills. He killed 5, idled LordRaphael for another 5, and that just set the tone for the rest of the match in that situation. LordRaphael tried to go for steel traps as well, and he had that upgrade completed, but when he was idling most of his villagers and then only finished up with 17 vills remaining on the map, there wasn't really much LordRaphael could do in terms of eco potential to come back in, and when he fell behind the military and couldn't capitalize finally on that final fight where he, or was a second last final fight with the dogs and the lancers basically tearing apart a Rodolero based army, he just didn't have the eco to come back into that one.
So, of course, King of Osmane picking out his main civilization, Japan. LordRaphael had everything in the tank, though. Could pick from any of the 14 civilizations, and he has picked probably the best civilization to be playing against Japan, which is Aztec.
Yeah, I'm also a bit... I've seen that a few players have played Japan in this game. I think King may also played Japan in a winning effort on Bonnie Springs, but out of all the maps to play Japan, I would say this is probably the last one you'd want to play it on.
Oh, why do you say that?
Well, it's really small. The hunts are quite not plentiful, so you try and put some shrines and it gets torn down. You don't have too much space to play with, and especially if you're playing a more defensive on the back foot, you have to do quite well to kind of hold LordRaphael, and Lord has countered with the Aztecs and should be able to get nice large amounts of TP control, map control, shipping maces, putting the Japan player under pressure in the town centre. So we'll have to see what King of Osmane has got to play with in this game into game number 3 on Bonnie Springs. King has elected to pick the Japanese civilization on quite a small map, with LordRaphael instantly counter-picking with the Aztecs. And I think LordRaphael must be happy with this matchup. Comic K, what do you think of this matchup in particular? And do you think Japan has a chance?
No. Actually, when you were saying Japan is a really strange pick for this map, I thought you said Aztec, and that's why I was like a little bit coy with my my inflection there. I was just like, Aztec, not a good civilization on Bonnie Springs, but no, you went in to explain that Japan is of course the strange pick for Bonnie, and I completely agree. You explained it very well. I do not think this is a good matchup at all for Japan. Of course, the mainstay is going to have to be, once King of Osmane picks his deck, Colonial Militia. It's just such a hard matchup to play against Aztec, who comes out with a very, very early pressure. Rushes are definitely something that is difficult for Japan to deal with. Ooh, a little bit of a lag spike, but it seems okay. As I was saying, Japan struggles to deal with early aggression, which is something Aztec excels at. And even when there isn't early aggression, it's hard to get map control against the Aztec units in particular with what you can field as Japan. Yumis, as strong as they are, if you aren't able to get up a mass, they aren't going to do too well. And Aztec can field a very large military mass early in the game, even if they aren't going for a direct rush. They're going to keep you penned up in your base and keep the shrine population down, which is one of Japan's win conditions, is getting good shrine population around the map. Here we do see some very, very smart shrine placements from King of Osmane. That's going to be very put LordRaphael in a very exposed location if he does want to siege these shrines down. So I like what King is doing, and he does have the intelligence and experience to recognize the correct way or a smart way to play this matchup.
So yeah, so good breakdown there, but look at this. Shrines right on the edge of the map to try and protect as much as possible, but LordRaphael has now scouted that there are 2 shrines on the map and that should indicate to LordRaphael that King is not likely to send heavily cami. He does have 2 villagers on deck. There's no consulate down, so I mean, King can still send heavily cami. He has done that in the past, and he is known for spamming out an entire map full of shrines while under severe pressure. But yes, 2 villagers, first card for KINGofOsmane, and all these villagers straight onto food as well, with no wood being gathered in the age 1. So it's going to be a very fast wonder drop for the Japanese player, and should be advancing up actually before LordRaphael, but maybe LordRaphael will get there first with the messenger. He does have a place for Toshogo Shrine left side, which is going to do that now. Toshogo Shrine coming down. But those 2 shrines should have given LordRaphael a lot of game knowledge and clues about how Japan would want to go about this.
It'll definitely it clues in LordRaphael to know that, KINGofOsmane didn't go for a consulate start, but even then, I think, Japan, for one, even without the consulate, they can still go for an economic build order. It does change how they'll do it. They might be more inclined to do something like an earlier trading post and send something like 4 Now, in the Aztec matchup, you're not going to be sending 4 but you can still get a decent economic lead just with just a few shrines and just trading villagers constantly. And in fact, getting some early pressure, getting some good early engagements, getting a lot of units out as Japan, and going for like a sort of aggro rush style Japan is kind of a new metagame thing, and it's pretty effective.
Well, yeah, but we could see he wants to get that early age up, really, just to try and help him a little bit. But War's right side, Concert down as a forward wall protection. He's not electing to shrine his forward hut because he knows it's right next to that war hut. And this explorer's been going to the left-hand side for quite a while just to try and shrine these hunts. He did look down to the southwest of the map to try and shrine anything down by the TP, but the hunt spawns 5 hunts left and right in mid-map. And so King is essentially wanting to stay near this area to the left to try and hunt this, but basically throwing down emergency walls on his north side of the base and right side just to try and dissuade any pressure from LordRaphael, who's already in the age 2 thanks to that very fast age up for the messenger. Managed to squeeze in the 700 wood behind this, and that should be enough resources for LordRaphael to try and train batches of coyotes and maces. But it looks like it's open up with a Puma though, so wanting to try and siege down these 2 shrines, and maybe King didn't want to put the 2 shrines next to each other, this close to each other.
We do see that, actually poofing back to the town center, the Explorer for KINGofOsmane. He was in a pretty good position to shrine that, but I don't think any more economic investment is in the cards for KINGofOsmane, at least for the time being. We do see, like you mentioned, the 5 Pumas that were in queue, now going to siege that shrine.
I think there's a hole in the wall there as well. I mean, he hasn't completely walled off left side, but having a wall right in the center of the wall as well is not most ideal. He's pushing out with 5 Konshan Yamabushis, and I'm a bit scared because next batch of units in queue for LordRaphael's Dakotas, but the 10 maces will soon be coming, and the Aztec player has always been sending the 10 maces, and now King has had to drop 50 wood just to get this gate down and get out. But I think the maces should be able to pick off at least one of these Yamabushis. Needs to retreat them. 1 going down, 2 going down, nearly a third as well. One of the explorers as well taking a bit of damage, and with these Konshan Mibushis, they have 5 speed. They should have got out of that range from the Mace Sultans easily, but losing 2 there for free, certainly a bit annoying for KINGofOsmane, but it's not the end of the world. He still has his wall in protection, and vitally, all his Yumi archers were still standing, and 5 trained and another 5 Yumi archers shipped behind us. He looks like he's going to defend, but he's gone out of the map. He's 5 Pumas, 5 coyotes out to try and snare, and 5 Pumas working their way around to the south. If you're playing defensive, sit behind the walls. No need to push out too far just to protect a single shrine.
He lost all his Yamabushi there. I don't know what he was able to get for it. He did kill at least 1 Puma, got damage on another Puma. Maybe there was another unit dead for LordRaphael, but a good trade for LordRaphael, taking down both shrines, temporarily popping KINGofOsmane. Of course, now he's got the population space, got some more shrines coming up. So he'll have the population space, but just a really great trade for LordRaphael, and that's typically what you see in the early game in this particular matchup.
Have you seen Osmane's unit lost at this point? I think that the Bestieros from the Portuguese may have been more of a wiser consulate shipment. I know that the Japan concept himself, does provide military bonus for your units, but having that ranged infantry is what you really need. And again, Yumi's trying to push out to try and defend the villager from coyotes, but having Yumi's outside your wall with these fast cavalry-like units nearby, and he's now seen this mid-wall just being sieged down by the entire LordRaphael's army, and again, he's potentially out of place. He's had to try and run towards this hole or get a gate going, but he's got no woods to spare, so you know, if LordRaphael actually commits onto these Yumis, that could have been it already.
Really close. Thankfully, KINGofOsmane was able to get away. Now he's got his Yumi mass starting to piece together, wall going up, very keen, but LordRaphael is just going to reposition and refocus on a different segment of the wall, and that thing is going to melt. Of course, the Yumis are coming from the back and definitely going to be able to get in some good DPS, so I don't know that the Aztec mass will be able to stay there for long, but it's looking all right for LordRaphael, and just very soon, one more siege, you know, there, broken into. But KINGofOsmane, you know, he's still got that other wall. Of course, he might be idled for a little bit, but he's going to be able to get away and in a really good position to deal some damage.
Is about to pop out. Probably going to be the sentries to try and fend away the coyotes. Yes, the sentries are out in the field. A few villagers nearby getting caught out in terms of positioning, but that should provide the Yumi archers behind this extra wall and gate enough time to kind of get some good old rate of fire onto the Mace Sultans. And actually, once all the villagers are tucked up into the town centre, there's only a few coyotes out in the field. These Yumis can path behind the gate, and lots of units actually falling down for Raphael, so a good hold there for Osmane, but he has certainly lost a few villagers. He's lost 3 already, and what I've also noticed is that King's shrine placements, he's had to put a shrine on one of his Toshoga shrine hunts, put a shrine left side with no hunts on, but he had all this access to the left-hand side. He had one of his explorers up here ready to go, but had to call it back for defense versus Raphael's army, and with no other nearby shrines or hunts, King really needs to do something to try and get his population up, and as you can see, he's 50 out of 50 housed.
I actually don't think it's too bad for KINGofOsmane. I think, you know, despite losing some villagers in that small engagement under his town center, he's still at an economic lead. You can take a look at the recalc and see that LordRaphael, he doesn't have any alternative economic, you know, resource working for him. He doesn't have a trade post. He doesn't have like the 3 warrior pre-shipment. So he doesn't have like any boosted experience shipment besides, you know, what he gets with the Aztec War Chief bonus when the War Chief is in there. Now he's building a trading post, which is going to be good, but he's still at a slight economic disadvantage at this stage. Even 4 coming in for KINGofOsmane and pretty much stabilized with a decent Yumi mass, more walls coming up. Gonna lose another Vil, but it's okay, because I think as long as he doesn't get caught out here, if he isn't too careful, no, he's all right.
What
I mean, there were 15 coyotes there were 20 Yumis, and I think even though Yumis have a lot of damage, I don't know.
Yeah, so I can understand now that the Aztec's army is out in the field, out and about, that maybe having 1 or 2 shrines in this far left hunt could be a bit risky, but I do think having 1 or 2 just out somewhere, just to try and even buy time. Like if the army had to try and go to the left hand side and siege it down, it's bought time again for KINGofOsmane, and somehow KINGofOsmane has managed to squeeze in 4 Vil behind this, which I guess makes up for the lack of shrines and can allow him just to basically put shrines down without really thinking of where he's placing it. And yeah, next shipment really for KINGofOsmane to come in could be Yumi attack, and Yumi archer attack increased by 20% is not a small upgrade card. It is huge, and that should provide KINGofOsmane basically his counter coyote unit damage. Really, just these Yumi archers will just tear anything that the Aztec player has, and the Aztec army doesn't have many upgrades in the first stage. Only 20% HP from coyote runners and 10% speed, but the maces cannot be upgraded, pumas cannot be upgraded, and he has now sent the 5 Vils behind, so it's not. Raphael has understood he's not all in. He's got himself a 2 TP on the TP line on the right side. I'm sure Stagecoach will be in soon enough to help his economy out even further. And did he send his 5 Vils forward? Yes, he did. So he sent his 5 Vils to the forward war hut onto a nearby bison hunt, so that it's less walking time on these far hunts if he sends them at his home town centre.
So 5 Vils is definitely going to help LordRaphael catch up in the economic, at least what was going to be the growing economic disparity between the Japan and Aztec civilization. And especially like you mentioned with the 2 trading posts, he's got good XP production. He's going to have some streamlined shipments. Daimyo Mototada coming out for King of Osmane, and that's kind of what he needs to piece together his infantry core. Of course, there are a lot of Coyote runners on the field. Still, just a burgeoning Ashigaru mass. It seems like, still just 10 on the field. So King of Osmane is going to have to be careful, especially out on this war hut, because that's where LordRaphael will want to engage.
Looks like LordRaphael has his War Chief dance up just to try and he's now changed it to War Dance, and he's got a look at this. Look at all these villagers and war priests on his fire pit. He was hoping for King of Osmane to push out for an engagement, but now that King's seen this, he's just got to just walk back. And how many gates has he built now? He built a gate on the right side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So with that original gate on the right hand side as well, he's spent 250 wood on gates, and that gives King that mobility through his wall defense as well. So certainly not wasted, but 2 gates right next to each other, that's slightly overkill.
And LordRaphael still just jockeying for position. Of course, he has a great mass of Coyote runners, especially now that they're carded. Like, now is a really good time for LordRaphael to get an engagement, but intelligently, King of Osmane not having any of it. Still just piecing together his mass. He is still working with a slight economic lead. I guess that's a little bit erroneous because, Japan is gathering from these cherry orchards, whereas LordRaphael is gathering from hunts. So that's a little bit better of a resource gather rate for him. So the economies are still probably roughly even, maybe even a little bit better for Aztec considering the stagecoach line. But, Japan is working with a decent mass compared to what the Aztec has, at least in this matchup. And so it's still like a very, very close game. I like that King of Osmane isn't totally committing under the base of LordRaphael, and I think the longer he just lets this game proceed on, the better it's going to get for him. So I like what he's doing so far. And of course, we do see some more shrines coming out around the map, like you had begged for him to do earlier, Harrison.
I think begged is a little strong. LordRaphael does have the hunt advantage as well as stagecoach. I want to see a second war hut drop down for LordRaphael to help military production, but also as a defensive kind of structure. Only 1 war hut providing 30 range attack, and that's his only training facility as well. LordRaphael did wait until the Coyote combat came in for him before taking any engagements, and also having lots of vills on the war priest on the fire pit to try and aid with the fire pit and the warrior priest dance, but also did give away to King of Osmane that he was intermittently putting on the war dance, and so that's shown to King that LordRaphael's intention is to try and kind of push out and break this position in Age 2 instead of trying to play more kind of, I won't say greedier, but actually realizing that no, the Japan player has got this really strong military unit now. Let's try and back off and go for a tech play instead. But here we go, Yumi Archers starting to walk out the gate. Large mass of Ashigarus now. So beforehand it was just Yumi Archers versus Coyotes. Coyotes were being scared off. Now it's Yumi Archers and even more Musketeers. I don't think these Coyotes can do anything really at this point.
Yeah, just constantly going back and forth with these Yumi Archers. And LordRaphael, for a long time he had these Coyotes parked over here, trying to just, wait for the right time when King was overextended. But now, plenty of Naganatas on the field, and a raid going to come in for King of Osmane. But LordRaphael did scout it, so he's not going to lose too much. And in fact, if he isn't careful, the King of Osmane could really... He's going to get caught because these Coyotes actually do run at a higher speed.
But this is fine for King.
He's
split the army up. Amaces will have to engage the Yumis. Ashi is on top of the Coyotes, and we're away from the war hut as well. So Aztec's army is basically out in the middle, relatively for him.
Like you said, this is so good to catch LordRaphael out of position. Of course, now we see the Aztec mass just trying to piece together, but they're blocked by this wall. I wonder if LordRaphael chooses to siege that down so he can connect all of his units together. But for a time there, he was in a really exposed position with Mace Walton being guarded by absolutely nothing. But now starting to, I don't even know if they'll actually engage here.
I don't think King needs to engage, so he's starting to the south. He wants to get his Ashes out in front, and Coyotes are trying to engage, but quite a lot of unit pathing with the coin mine and the bakery from the mid-map. Nagi Natters and Daimyo on the right side being fended away from the Puma Spearmen. Yumi Archers pathing to the south to try and provide covering fire to the Pumas. But look at these Coyotes on top of the Ashies. Like, this is not great from the Aztec player. Granted, a lot of Mace Sultans in the back row providing great fire, but once the Pumas go down, the cavalry are allowed to come out to play. But actually, what has happened here? Most of the cavalry gone down, all the Ashies gone down. Yumi Archers now under fire from the Coyotes, and in between the two war huts of the Aztec player, and after the Aztec army is kind of regrouped underneath a single army banner, it's just come through and demolished the Japanese player, and that was a cleanup, and I was not expecting that. And oh no, only the first upgrade card, Ashigaru attack, came in at half, 16 minutes and 30 seconds. I think at that point most of the Ashies were down anyway.
Yeah, a crushing fight for LordRaphael, and you know, KINGofOsmane is going to try his best to come back into this game, but I think it's just too little, too late. His mass has been completely deteriorated, and LordRaphael is sitting with a 50 population lead in terms of the military unit pop, that is. Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, but if it was scouted out by LordRaphael, then we are into the realms of trouble, and that's just what this map provides. Two nearby coin mines, and that is King's fourth coin, but his third coin on the right side is being blocked off by LordRaphael's forward war hut and army placement, and King, I don't know what he does here. I guess he has to try and train Ashigarus with the Ashigaru attack card underneath it, but he had the opportunity to send the Yumi Archer upgrade beforehand, chose to send the Daimyo Mototada instead, had to send two Cherry Orchards to try and replace it, and now that his original two Cherry Orchards gone down, look at this forward Cherry Orchard placement from King. That's he could have waited with that one until the original two get eaten up. Couple of Nagi Natters out on the field, but Nagis versus Coyotes, that's going to be a Coyote-favoured trade there, especially the amount of Coyotes in the field and how their small surface area gets on top of all the cavalry. The cavalry are trying to path out that. They don't want to engage that. Maybe waiting for another minute and pop of irregulars trying to fight, but I think LordRaphael senses his military advantage and wants to try and push this advantage while he can. Mace Sultan's on top of the Ashies, Coyotes tearing down the Nagis on the right-hand side, exposing vills on the Cherry Orchard. Not many military units remaining from KINGofOsmane. Coyotes coming on top to snare even more. Mace Sultan's still here to clean up, and once this army goes down and the villagers and the orchards are exposed, I'm expecting a resignation to be coming in very, very soon, and I don't see there's no CM card being shipped for but we do see 4 Nagis on top of the Mace Sultans, and there's only a few Coyotes remaining. A couple of Ashies are still on the field, and the recalc eco is still good for Osmane, so if Lord does lose all his military units here, there could be an opportunity for King to come back, but reinforcement batch of 4 Pumas, another Pumas by the TC, yeah, it would be a very, very tough hold for King to hold on to that, and LordRaphael's eco with the Hunt free map control, the 2 TP stagecoach as well as having his all these warrior priests, 10 warrior priests on the dance pit as well. And I think that's actually maybe what swung it in the end, was having the 10 warrior priests on the fire pit with the attack dance during that big engagement. Comet, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure when he had the 10 warrior priests, but he definitely had at least 4, probably a few villagers on it as well during that big engagement. And you can see on the timeline, that was a crushingly good engagement for LordRaphael. And it really didn't seem like it was going to go at least that well. You know, Osmane was able to get a really good position between this Baker's building and the copper mine with his infantry mass. But still, you know, LordRaphael did a very good job splitting up all of his melee units to get around the obstructions. And with that, you know, the Mace Waltons getting free reign, free DPS on the Ashigarus, it was a crushing fight for LordRaphael. Everything went to his favor. Good explore positioning, exploring the fight. Like you mentioned, the warrior priest, the war dance. And after that point, you know, KINGofOsmane was out of it. Even though I think to that point, he had played a really solid game.
We have seen in other series when King has similar situations of having to play really, really defensive. He managed to get out a lots of shrines in the early Age 2. But in this game, his building count was only at 7 max 3 for the opening portions of the game. Really struggling for shrine and population space. Few shrines and no hunts due to the map control the Aztec player had, and that really curtailed his earlier military advantage, but managed to pull through that and was looking to be a good place at one point. Did get a bit of a Nagi raid on the top side, but actually no villagers from Raphael going down to that Nagi raid. It did pull Raphael's army away from the war huts, but Raphael managed to retreat back to his defensive structure, regrouped his entire army, got the war dance going, and King basically walked into the Aztec ambush of, Mace Holtons in the back line, all these coyotes at the front drawing all the fire, but the Mace Holtons at the back, they were unchallenged really, and they were doing lots of ranged fire into the Ashigaran Musketeers, and once the Musketeers went down, nothing really protecting the Yumis. I did see the Yumi archers moving quite a bit as well to try and position, but moving archers are not firing archers, and that may have been the extra damage output that King needed to really take an equal trade. But yeah, once that army was decimated, did well to get back to about 40 military population, but that was just enough for Raphael to come in, and once Raphael was in the base, some of the villagers would start to die up. Quite a lot of the villagers were idled. No colonial militia was sent, so no hero pop of sentries or irregulars, and possibly King could have played that a little longer, truthfully, to be told. However, I think LordRaphael at that point was a commanding position and could only get better with his map control and TP control.
See LordRaphael coming back into this series. If it had gone 3-0 King, LordRaphael, I've seen in the chat Kaiser mentioning, LordRaphael doesn't really tilt. He does get annoyed, but he doesn't tilt. But I think if it had gone to 3-0, maybe LordRaphael would have mentally checked out. Like I mentioned, he is a busy man, and we're only going into just now Game 4 of the series after almost 2 hours.
We have a subscription from
but we do have
Shield,
a contested series.
So thank you, Silver Shield, for the subscription there. I hope you enjoyed the series so far. This is the advanced finals between LordRaphael and KINGofOsmane, and score being 2-1 after 3 games, we've still got plenty more games to come, and at least 6 really. If it's going to be it's hard to say. At least 5 actually, technically. But I wouldn't be surprised if we may go the distance in this series.
And especially with KINGofOsmane still having a Japan in the stable as one of his civilization picks. If LordRaphael is hoping to finish out this series soon, he might have a difficult time because Japan is a civilization that favors longer games, and of course, that does not play to the favor of LordRaphael.
So the map is Arizona, LordRaphael to pick, and he's gone for the Germans, which he played Germany against you on Arizona and had a very commanding victory there as well. So LordRaphael, favourite civilization, has practiced his civ on this map before, and is up for King to see how he wants to play this. I don't imagine Japan from King again. However, I mean, he could. Like, even the best player, Kaiser, struggles with Germany versus Japan. LordRaphael changing Otto and locking in the Ottomans now. So, is this going to be a reverse matchup of Game 1, really, I guess? King could go Eero.
Yeah, I definitely think Iroquois is a good civilization on Arizona. Of course, they aren't necessarily like a stagecoach civilization. At least not in typical builds, or at least where there's equal skill. You don't really typically see that happening, especially not in the Iroquois versus Ottoman matchup. But even in general, Iroquois isn't really a stagecoach civilization. Regardless, I think they are a good civilization on this map because there is free access to, a solid trading post that can be difficult to see for your opponent. You can get decent leverage around the map. The hunts can be kind of disparate and hard to hold, which plays to the favor of Iroquois if they can get a good angle to pressure on. But of course, KINGofOsmane, he's only lost his own Ottoman, and he's lost to Spain, which are definitely not really main civilizations of his. I know he does play Ottoman a lot, but now that he can't play Spain, I don't think he really cares too much about that one.
But who doesn't play Ottoman, though? It's like a 5 APM civ. Anybody could pick up Ottoman. Do you play Ottoman?
We still see some players wield Ottoman disproportionately. Oh, do I play Ottoman? I think you already know the answer to that. But
okay.
Some players wield...
The correction is, does your Smurf account play Ottoman?
Smurf account. I play Ottoman on every account I play on. I go into quick search, I Smurf second lieutenants, and I actually get to brigadier rank because it's very easy to do that with Ottoman.
Ollie Vez has just subscribed. Thank you, Ollie Vez. He also comments saying, Eliza here just wanted to say, go King, you got this. King currently leading 2-1 at this point, and for the time being, he has got this certainly, and taking 1-1 in a, when all the games are played out is certainly nothing to be scoffed at as well. So King is certainly in this, and even last game, really good Japan defense there, and maybe King actually is thinking, okay, you're playing the Ottoman. If I just do the same game plan last time, I would have a better eco than you and could end up for a similar game. It's up to King to change Civ if he wants to. He can play other Civs in this matchup, especially with LordRaphael going for the early Ottoman click-in. I've seen a common counter pick versus the Ottoman is the Sioux civilization, and I'm not too sure if KINGofOsmane is a Sioux player, but we could see a native Civ coming out at this point.
Playing Sioux, Aztec, or Iroquois. It's not a common sight. Going with France here.
King hasn't used his Portuguese yet. He was thinking of playing that. I saw him thinking about playing Portuguese on the Mendocino, so he does have access to other civs as well. But it looks like he's going to click into a French versus Ottoman on Arizona.
It's a classic matchup. And honestly, I might give the slight edge to Ottoman on this map in particular. I think it's it's easier for the Ottoman player to establish control along the trade line and control in early to mid-colonial. And colonial is definitely not the typical game plan for France in this matchup. They don't want to be staying age 2 for very long. If they do, it's usually with a timing push, and then they want to age up in the back of that, because really their biggest advantage comes from leveraging their early age 3 units, that is.
What do you think of the coin mine situation for King and against Raphael? I think King has safer 2 nearby coin mines, while Lord has access to a safe second, but the rest of his coin mines are really far forward, actually.
Let's look at the hunts first. So
hunts are fine.
Raphael got 2 hunts. Yeah, hunts are good. I think it's fine. Pretty much all there is to it. 5 mines spawned for both players in typical positions. Of course, it's a little bit, like LordRaphael has to go out farther, and of course, this is usually a more high traffic zone than this for KINGofOsmane. But I still think it's okay. Everything spawned as it should, so let's not really interfere too much with the players. I think it's acceptable.
So we see a coin crate start, and KINGofOsmane already out in the field getting treasures. He doesn't have the resources to drop down a trading post, and has come across a 60 food treasure guided by 2 coyotes. He's already picked off a single coyote, about to hit a second one. Looks like he's gone for the early market play here, and could have enough resources now with this 60 food treasure as well to sell 100 food and then buy wood with the coin gathered from that sold food production. He does have the hunting dogs in queue now, but with no house nearby. It looks like he's just going to chop the remaining 50 wood for that house. Could also work on getting these extra bisons right underneath the town centre, and it's kind of shot him in an awkward direction there if you just saw that one. Also picked himself a 60 wood treasure, and did he sneak that off KINGofOsmane then?
I think LordRaphael was going for that himself, but now being pressured back to his town center. Not a lot of scouting on the field for him. Of course, he does know the positions of a next mine, which is right there, and then he got also a forward mine and a forward hunt, but that's kind of not the information he really wants. Now he's going to start to loop around the other side and start scouting out there, but like you just pointed out, 60 food, 60 wood, and now another 60 food for KINGofOsmane.
Well, 80 food now by 2 alligators, and given that King kind of knows where LordRaphael's Explorer is, this is relatively easy to pick off, especially if he's kiting one. he's now got both the alligators in combat, but if he has a crack shot available for the second alligator, this should be an easy pick-off, but deciding to kind of pull it back out for another creep-in effort onto this alligator. 3 CDBs, first card for the French players, as you'd expect. LordRaphael already clicking up for the age up into the second age, and he's going up with the quartermaster, as to be expected. LordRaphael already having a single trading post down out on the field for some early XP gather rate and a bit of map control. And I think the question we have moving into the next stage is, does LordRaphael go for more military production buildings, or does he focus on more TPs early on?
We're definitely going to see a second TP coming out here, and that would incline me to believe, yes, we're going to see some economic trading post stagecoach gameplay for LordRaphael. As far as if he's going to play aggressive after that, he could still like take the full stagecoach line, or at least get 3 of them. In fact, we see the explorer for King of Osmane. He definitely wants to build a trading post himself, but he has definitely scouted the. Okay, yeah, going back now, he's not even going to try to fight the Ottoman explorer, especially since Ottoman's going to age up sooner anyway and get some buffed HP and attack. Just going to go for this next trading post of his. I wonder if LordRaphael will actually get the 3rd trading post over here. I wonder what his scouting pattern will be. Of course, he was getting harassed by the scout, but the scout went back. So
I'll tell you what. Have you seen King herding all his hunts as well? Like, we're talking about hunts maybe being fine for both players, but with King herding this well, if LordRaphael walks into his town centre, he's going to think on how on earth did this happen, and there's so many safe resources here. Looks like King of Osmane is chopping to get the steel traps upgrading and on top of it once he ages to the second age, and so steel traps with all access to all these safe hunts here. I think King of Osmane should be quite happy with his map spawn, especially with this nearby coin mine out front by the market, and he has scouted the far right mine as well. He hasn't scouted the top left mine, so that is still unknown to King of Osmane, but I think King's looking to play rather defensive in this, and we'll have to see whether he's going to go for like a musketeer semi-FF, or is he going to try and squeeze in a little bit of a faster FF behind this. Quite a defensive barracks from LordRaphael there, not on top of the trading posts of King, not in King's half as well, so could have been a little bit more forward with that placement. Trying to secure the extra coin mine and hunts for Raphael there, so trying to play with the map in mind for himself, and King is sneaking in a second trading post here, and LordRaphael has just seen that and thinking, damn, I'm going to have to siege down these trading posts if I want to try and get the stagecoach in. So King of Osmane sneaking in his own second TP when he kind of didn't have the right to at that point, so nice one there from King. Having the stable down and the extra trading post, he did buy an extra wood to get another house down to give him some space for the 4 CDB shipment and to continue military production. I wouldn't be surprised if his second card will be the 700 wood at this point, just to try and help his house production, because he can't really get a batch of hussars out, but that could also then lead to just an early 700 coin as well.
With the 700 wood first, of course, I mean, it's very clear that LordRaphael is somewhat committing to the H2 at the moment. He's going to try to get down this trading post and establish it for himself. I wonder if he is even going to bother researching stagecoach at this point. 700 coin in, but that's going to be pumped into Obusgun production.
King has the native scout on top of his military buildings of the Ottoman player, so he knows exactly what's coming out, when it's coming out, and it's currently seen that there's a large mass of Janissaries on the field, but no Abus guns as of yet, and so I think King feels he's safe enough to send the 700 coin and get a fast age behind this. He does have 3 hussars out on the field, raiding right side, checking units in queue whether he has any more units in queue, and just a 1 CDB suggests that I think he's fine of trying to go for a 3 hussar raid, and he scouted these 2 villas on the production building. With Janissaries and Abus guns a little bit far forward, he should be able to get 1 vill, but pathing towards the Janissaries, and unfortunately he also shown off his native scouts, so LordRaphael now knows that King has seen basically what's been going on. Pulling back 4 Janissaries of the Ottoman player, but the rest of the army, 4 Abus guns really going forward there, right close to the base of King of Osmane. They're all starting to work on King's second training post, but these training posts themselves should have actually given King enough XP to at least send a 700 woods next card, and then have an extra shipment in age 3 once he ages up.
King of Osmane now getting in queue the Fortress Age. And these 3 Hussars, I think LordRaphael has done a really, really good job of, fending off this 3 Huss pressure, but these 3 Huss have still gotten a lot of value. Now killing the Explorer, preventing the 3rd trading post from going up, significantly delaying any potential for a stagecoach from the Ottoman player. Ottoman player having sent 600 woods, that's definitely the strategy he wants to commit to. Oh, now villagers coming forward and gonna lose one. Not gonna lose the other, so the trading post is eventually going to go up at a very slow rate, but still, like, King of Osmane doing so well here.
I was about to say, that Hussar raid onto that dead Explorer, that's really smart of him to try and zone that down, and that raid itself has probably cost the Ottoman player maybe 500 resources in delayed stagecoach, maybe more than that, and he's got the stagecoach on 2 TPs as well, so he's only got the XP bonus from maybe a single trade route, depends on where that stagecoach was actually at that time, so not even getting the huge XP bonus that the upgrade brings from going from level 1 to level 2, because he only had 2 trading posts up on the map, one on either side, one on the far left, one on the far right, and I suppose getting the stagecoach up just to help with that wood income to help the remainder of the stagecoaches is certainly a benefit, but at this point, King is in the 3rd age, he's got 5 Dragoons out, 8 skirmisher shipment, he has the tempo, he's deciding to not go for a wood shipment, and looks like he's committing 4 CDBs onto wood protection to get the houses in, but with this extra extra military advantage from King of Osmane of having that tech and also having the momentum, looks like he's going to try and push his advantage in early age 3 here. This is so cheeky from King going for the stagecoach again, and down he goes again. And that Ottoman Explorer went across the map without any military support, and LordRaphael, he's now seen that there's 8 scums on the field, 5 Dragoons will soon be in his base as well, and with his Explorer down, losing one of his stagecoach TPs to the French player, he kind of has to either defend this army or try and siege down this stagecoach, but he can't do both.
Giving great coats in for LordRaphael yet. And LordRaphael, he did lose, I think, maybe 2 villagers. Let's check the oh my god, and another one! If you take a look at the units lost, 3 villagers lost for LordRaphael due to some excellent control with his hussars just this entire time. He sneaked in 2 villager kills just under the coin mine of LordRaphael's base. And now just putting on the pressure. He's delayed LordRaphael so much with just some really, like I mentioned, well-executed pressure. And I don't know this engagement right here. I don't know if that's that good, but...
I don't know what LordRaphael ships his first shipment as well. Maybe if he kind of scares the army away, he can kind of get the space needed for a 2 Falconet shipment. But Minutemen being called up as quite emergency. Dragoons focusing down the Aegis gun, still being scouted out by this native scout as well. So he kind of sees what's going on. But losing these units before their veteran upgrade is not exactly what King wants. Falconets out in the field, but no protection. These Dragoons are going to go straight onto this Falconets and probably melee them down. Here we go. Immediately onto 1 Falconet, being taken down without much loss. A good Falconet volley from LordRaphael onto the skirmishers, but the skirmishers are still working their way onto the Janissaries. The other Falconet's about to go down, and after all said and done, the early age up from King of Osmane, he's still got the military advantage as well, and LordRaphael, what does he follow us up with? 8 colonial Janissaries? They're not going to do enough versus this mass. And yeah, LordRaphael realises he's so far behind, and GG and King of Osmane 3-1. This is match point for King of Osmane now.
A quick game 4, I believe, and that went crushingly to the favor of Osmane. You know, just like I mentioned, that sucks, sound bug. Oh, especially with the raids that were going on, but King just did an incredible job with those 3 Huss. They did so much for him. Idled LordRaphael, prevented the stagecoach line, delayed the fortress age up, and that allowed King of Osmane's early fortress timing to just put in work, and that was really well executed. Of course, a little bit unfortunate for LordRaphael that he got the sound bug apparently, but still, like I mentioned, big credit to King of Osmane, and that's a solid game 3, which, like you mentioned, puts him on match point, and that's a scary situation to be LordRaphael in, actually.
So what I like about King of Osmane is sometimes when players go for the stable, they try and go for the kind of full 5 Hussar batch, especially when the other opponent is also going for cavalry, but King of Osmane only got 3 Hussars out, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but the 3 Hussars managed to do the same amount of work as 5 Hussars needed, and maybe not picking an extra villager or 2 as a result of only having 3 Hussars, but allowed King of Osmane to age up at a very fast time off the 700 wood, and still essentially going for a fast fortress build while squeezing in 3 Hussars out. But those 3 Hussars picking off that Ottoman Explorer, delaying the Ottomans' full 4 TP stagecoach control, allowing enough time for King to basically sneak back in for a trading post steal. The Ottoman army was confused whether it wants to kind of defend its trading post, take down King's trading post, or return home. So the army was out of positioning. King sending 8 skirm, 7 skirm straight away, while just training pure dragoons as well was basically all the army he needed. He had the skirms to take down the Abus gun and janissaries, or at least the janissaries, dragoons to do the Abus gun and falconets, and picking off all his units before any veterancy upgrade comes in from LordRaphael was one big win, but also picking up the falconets really before any other supporting units came out into the field was another big win. And LordRaphael, I think, realised the French has their strong eco. He's only got a 2 trading post advantage. He's lost his momentum from the 2 falconet shipments. He didn't have resources like 1,000 food or 1,000 coins stockpiled for the Spahis or the Mamelukes. And then the following up card is slightly underwhelming. 8 colonial janissaries, 5 cav archers, 5 Abus guns. The cav archers and Abus get picked off by the dragoons. The janissaries get picked off by the skirmishers. And I guess you could try and go for a crate shipment, but with all that military in your base, I don't think LordRaphael had a way back in there.
I mean, like you even said at some point during the game, like, I don't know what LordRaphael ships here. I mean, there was the 2 falconets there, but there was just too little, and they were out of position, not enough janissaries to defend it from the dragoons, and even if there were enough janissaries, I think King of Osmane's very mobile composition would have allowed him to, kind of just dance around those falconets while still applying pressure on the Ottoman player.
I actually forgot to comment that King of Osmane managed to get 2 trading posts under his control, and that provided him enough XP on age up to send 2 shipments back to back. He did skip the 700 wood, but it also delayed LordRaphael his opportunity to get 3 or 4 stage TPs, and only managed to get his 3rd trading post at 8 minutes 20. So just always little factors here and there, just really well played from King. I think that was such a really well executed plan, well used to the 3 Hussars, and actually it made Ottoman look rather underwhelming there at this point.
And you know what the thing is that on match point, King of Osmane still has his main civilization in his pocket. He still is able to play Japan.
Oh yeah, of course. And what's the map going to be? Is it the next map? I think it's Florida. This is a nice map for Japan. The trade route going through the middle of the base is slightly awkward, so I know that King's wanting to be playing Japan on this map for multiple times, but actually it may be time King changes it up, and it could be that now that Aztec from LordRaphael is out the way, I think King could feel a little bit more confident going on a better map for Japan with LordRaphael having access to a second best counter civ instead of having the best win, which is possibly the Aztecs. And also, like your LordRaphael, you have to beat King of Osmane's Japan's 3 times on the trot, and even the best players would struggle with that.
I think a really powerful build order for particularly the Aztec-Japan matchup on Florida is just Aztec sending the 3 trading post shipment, getting the stagecoach line, and then continuing on with their pressure, which they can still perform at a very crushing time against the Japan, who will really not have the forces assembled to hold that. And in the back of it, you'll have a very, very powerful boom as Aztec, even stronger than the Japanese one will be able to pull off. Brits.
Interesting. So I'm sure LordRaphael is very aware that King's favourite civ is Japan, so it might be the fact that King's trying to throw LordRaphael off. And I was actually speaking to, I believe it was like Sampu Konku or somebody else in the earlier series, and was always questioning, oh, why didn't you go India or something like that? And I think the knowledge was that he knew that the opponent was practicing specifically versus that one civ, and so kind of felt that they couldn't really bring out that one civ of that series, and so maybe it's a similar situation for King. He's known that he's lost his Japan once, and it doesn't stop you from playing it again, but it may knock your confidence going again, because he may think that LordRaphael has multiple counters, but going British on Florida and LordRaphael going for the Russians, this is a close matchup, but I've seen quite a few Brit victories in this matchup, especially if the Brit player manages to squeeze in 2 upgrade cards of Musk Attack and Cavalry HP.
I remember Osmane playing this particular matchup on this particular map. I don't remember who it was against, but the Russian player who was his opponent just went for a doggone rush, and King of Osmane was not prepared at all and lost at, I think, maybe the 8-minute mark. So I think King of Osmane will have learned his lesson here. Of course, LordRaphael is probably one of the scariest Russian players you could be facing up against. But regardless, I think he'll be a little bit more confident than the last time. And given his performance so far in this series, I think, like you mentioned, it's going to be an even, close game.
Yeah, so we're about to hop into the 5th game between King of Osmane and LordRaphael, and King of Osmane won a really good game on Arizona's French versus LordRaphael's Ottoman to take the scoreline to 3-1. So King has picked the British civilization first in Florida. It's a wood crate start. The British player has 300 wood, also has the in-base market as well, so we could see 2 manor houses and hunting dogs for a very good start. LordRaphael, his opponent, counter-picking as the Russian civ, probably struggles to make use of that wood in Age 1, but with a nearby coin treasure of 40 coin and the market, could also go for the hunting dogs in Age 1. So we should see how it goes. Having a quick look at the hunts, and I think the hunts are fairly fair for both players. 3 herdable hunts for the British player, slightly more for the Russians, but certainly coin mines itself looks relatively balanced, but it must be quite awkward to have a very forward coin mine like that. I've just paused. You paused as well. We've all paused, all 3 of them. So, in this little downtime between LordRaphael having to take a quick break for some technical reason, I assume. Comet, what is the time over in America for you right now?
Yes, right now it is 3:16 a.m. So hopefully I can go to bed at 4 a.m. I think I'm supposed to get up at around 10.
That is lies, guys. We're hoping for a full 7-game series here between the 2 players and hope to go for 4-3. So if you guys like to appreciate Comet K's dedication to the ESOC cause, please do consider dropping a donation, a subscription, just to show us that you appreciate Comet foregoing his beauty sleep to cast some Age of Empires free action for you tonight. For his case, on a Friday night. We do see an early trading post coming down from the King of Osmane instead, chopping enough wood for a first manor house, and sometimes this is enough indication to suggest a Virginia Company start on this map. Can you realistically get away with Virginia Company versus the Russians?
If your name were Azamk, I figure it would be possible, but I don't know that King will want to take the risk in this game. Of course, like you mentioned, we did see the trading post that would incline us to believe he might actually be going for it, but maybe, okay, actually no colonial militia index, so yeah, really 3 villager Virginia Company could be a build order that King of Osmane opts for. Of course, he might not go for the Virginia Company boom off the bat. He may actually just send it anyway, but actually go for just a standard build order to start with to hold the Russian pressure, and then once he's stabilized, commit more to a boom. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. But with the benefits of Virginia Company.
It must be getting quite late for you there.
I know. I'm trying my best. I'm like
one eye open, one eye closed. But this riveting action between King of Osmane and LordRaphael in the advanced finals is enough to keep you awake at this godforsaken hour in the Americas. And I have seen a few other American players in the chat, so a lot of people staying up quite late on this night just to catch this action live. And we do see KINGofOsmane working his way onto another 80 wood treasure, and previously he did pick up that 75 wood from the Gumtree treasure he picked up. So if he did go for Virginia Company as card number 2 in this situation, he may have enough wood early on from these treasures to actually get some sort of decent value from Virginia Company early on, and will make the most of it when he ships 700 wood in H2 as well.
Yeah, if you were to send Virginia Company, that's basically like a whole free villager treasure for what? Just meleeing a single blowgunner? That's pretty insane.
Obviously, the caveat being you've always sent a Age 1 shipment at that point, and you know, if LordRaphael wants to go more aggressive though, would it be useful to send how on earth do you start saying that one? I'm just going to say Dylan. Dylan123 is just subscribed to ESOC. Thank you, Dylan, for the subscription there. Always appreciated. King is advancing into the next age already. He does have 1 shipment belled up, so I don't believe he's going to be shipping Virginia Company in this match. However, looking at his deck, he only has the 6 musketeers. He does not have the 6 longbow. He has 4 5-vil, both wood crates, both food crates, both musk upgrade cards, only the cav HP. I don't mind that there is no cav damage, but only 1 musketeer shipment, as well as having no colonial militia as well. I'd be happy to see no colonial militia if he had this access to 6 longbows as well to kind of shore up his defensive. But looks like King is already going for the wall in action, and you know, who else would you rather have walling? Like, we've got one of the best in the business playing defensively, and this wall is a very nice wall. I don't believe there's been many gaps here. Looks like it's very joined up on the base, and you know, with no pillars, it actually saves King a lot of resources. It does protect his forward coin mine though, so really good play from King to think about that. And I also think because there's enough distance between the coin mine and the wall, I don't believe Strelitz would have enough range on the other side to attack any villagers gathering on the left-hand side of the coin mine. So, well thought out there from King. I do appreciate the wall, and he's certainly played... It certainly just shows his knowledge and experience playing defensive situations many times.
Especially bringing in all those hunts, and I think in every game that we've seen so far, King has done a really, really great job about bringing his herds in. We've now got almost 3 hunts under the town center of the British player. Still a work in progress, but almost there. You can see, yeah, look at that. Just excellent, excellent attention to detail by KINGofOsmane.
He is really
LordRaphael.
defending that forward coin mine, outpost in between, so a mid-garrison point in between the coin mine. Outpost, enough range to defend this forward wall from any sieging units. Hunt's been herded in really well. A slight back hunt there. Back herd, slightly actually unfortunate. I think he may have just actually lost control of that, but may need to use a gates to kind of recover. A forward villager of Raphael is wanting to back herd these deers, and if you really want to be cheeky, he could actually kill these turkeys out front, especially because a few of these have already got their 1 shot onto it. So just imagine if Raphael picked off these 2 turkeys, just having them dead outside King's base. But we do see 10 Strelitz first shipments. First unit being trained, 5 Cossacks first units shipments being sent, and so if KINGofOsmane open up with musketeers, he's at risk of losing to the Strelitz here, and may need to call a very early Minutemen to try and fend away the Strelitz.
Almost has the coin for it too. Okay, now DQing a musketeer, he will have the resources for Minutemen should he need it, and especially with the first batch being Strelitz from Lord_Raphael.
Yeah, it's on its way now as well, so Minutemen just been out onto the Strelitz, and I think King wants to pick off the Strelitz as much. The Cossacks can get picked off by the musketeers and the town centre, or any settlers' hand attack, but losing 7 Strelitz there to his musketeers, very cost effective for LordRaphael, but that was really what King needs, and the more he can defend these early game engagements, the stronger he will be moved on. LordRaphael pushing in with another Strelitz army here, so he's trained 2 batches of Strelitz. He's got enough houses at the back to support it. He's already got steel traps as well, so for some reason, LordRaphael has managed to actually get the resources required to actually pump out these strats as well. He still has villagers in queue, so I don't think he's been skipping too many villagers, so this is really good early game macro from LordRaphael. You can just see how these Strelitz just tank TC fire and outpost fire so well, and how how do you deal with this? You need a stable and hussars at some point, and just if LordRaphael just continues to train Strelets, I'll be unsure actually how King's going to play this. He has changed into longbows. He's realised that some of these Cossacks are low HP or being taken down. 6 musketeers sent as the next shipment for King to try and shove his defensive. No units in the town centre actually to defend, so I think he's comfortable with the 4 longbows and the 6 musketeers to try and defend this, and another batch of Strelets being coming in and has been scouted by the Manor House, so I guess King has to continue trying to train longbows to pick off these Strelets.
Still no stable on the board for King of Osmane, so LordRaphael is perfectly content to continue slamming on that Strelet button. He did have 200 wood in the bank, Osmane that is, but unfortunately I think he put that into another manor rather than a stable, and like you mentioned, without a stable, he's not really going to have the compositional balance to hold what the Russian player is going to be able to field. Yeah, more Strelets hitting the board for LordRaphael. He's got a lot there, like what, 23, 33? A lot of Strelets, 2 Cossacks, probably. I'm not sure what the next shipment would be for Lord Raphael. What do you think it would be? Would that be 700 coin, or do you foresee?
Well, he's gone for the 4
Cossacks.
He's gone for the 4 Cossacks there, but I'd actually would have preferred to see 700 coin into 4 Cossacks or Boyars. The 700 coin really needed to get that Cossack mass production going, and you can just continuously focus on gathering food to kind of help you with that Cossack production. But now that he's starting to get a mass of Strelets and Cossacks going, I would like to see LordRaphael squeeze in the Boyars before it, or at least just poke in and not overly commit. I was thinking King may have wanted to consider a second outpost because his coin's so exposed. That's the only coin he really has. But I guess really saving that wood for a staple would also be nice. And he's dropped to 200 somewhere. Where's he going? Stable far right side. So trying to hide it as long as possible. But here we go with Strelets. And yeah, pure Strelet army and Cossacks going to the base. And you know, open up the stable so late into this and not having resources available due to all this idling. LordRaphael just right-click under his base, and this Cossack mass on top of the musketeers. Strelets will pick these musketeers off very quickly, and once the musketeers go down, it's just longbows on Strelets and Cossacks, and both units resist longbowman fire.
Yeah, there is just. I mean, the Cossacks were, caught up on the villagers there, dealing some ineffective DPS, but I still don't think this is an engagement that the British player can come away from safe and sound. The longbowman mass is now liable to be cleaned up, and what there is in the back of it, a single barracks.
Yeah, really quick game for the King, and he just didn't have the resources to even queue up a Hussar at any point, so yeah, I think quite a lot of players do go for Musketeers first, but I have noticed that Strelets, pure Strelets, sometimes will be able to kind of catch players going Musketeer first, and I did notice in previous series that Diaruga did comment that if the British player opened up with Musketeers, it's essentially an easy GG for Russia if they have gone for a Strelet-focused army, and we can see that the lack of cavalry on the field for LordRaphael, as well as having to use that really early Minutemen just to hold off 10 Strels and 5, is just not enough to kind of survive. We see another subscription from Knight's Demon. Thank you, Knight's Demon. Support is always appreciated. And what about this? Maybe King of Osmane is just baiting out Russia and Aztec for a safe Japan pick on Arkansas.
Yeah, indeed. And in fact, King of Osmane gets the opportunity to counterpick. So no matter what LordRaphael chooses, I think he might be inclined to pick something like Iroquois on Arkansas. King of Osmane will get the counterpick opportunity for the rest of the series. So that's definitely something that plays to his favor with his main civilization still in the tank.
I just noticed that King of Osmane sent 5 villagers at 8 minutes and 10 seconds, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
If that was 700 coin with more villagers gathering food, sheeps, and hunts, may have been able to squeeze an extra 5 musketeers and 5 hussars, and that could have held off the Strelets and Cossacks a little bit longer. May not have been game winning at that point, but at least would have protected the longbows to be used at later points. So the 5 vills at that point was rather. It was greedy. We have to call it out what it is really. 700 wood and the 600 wood back to back. That's a lot of wood to send one after the other, and was hoping to get that stable down off the 600 wood a little bit early, but quite a lot of that wood had to go into longbow production, and these longbows were all trained. They weren't shipped. There was no 6 longbow card available, so yeah, having to send 6 musketeers, which as a resource card in its own right is not very effective. So 6 longbows there could mean a better card to send while trained musketeers behind it. So interesting play from KINGofOsmane there, and I guess that's what it is when you don't complete the wall off, and this map you can't really complete the wall due to the train route. It just allows the Russian player to kind of walk in, and I think LordRaphael positioned his base on the trade route because he knew the trade route was his path into the base of the British player, because he can't wall off the trade route and could at least get to the just left hand side of the town centre before having to bust through a wall if the wall was kind of created around the base, around the trading route, if you know what I mean. So good positioning from LordRaphael, good use of early Cossacks in there being trained, and good use of pure Strelets, and it made it look actually rather simple with that matchup. Just how KINGofOsmane looked, French versus Ottoman looked rather simple. So good play from both players. I'm just waiting for that one game now where both players bring their absolute A game and duke it out in a massive match. Right.
We are 1 point closer to that happening.
Yeah, back into the game lobby, and now that this is all gone, I want to get my lovely crossbow avatar back in. I feel safe with the crossbow avatar for some reason. I've always had it, and it's like, yay, crossbowman. But Arkansas and LordRaphael to pick first, and did he win with the Germans? Has he even played Germans yet?
Not even a single time.
I want to think the Germans will be coming out at some point. LordRaphael, the Germans have an alright matchup versus Japanese. I think that's in one side of his mind. Germans don't really have massive counter picks, so it certainly gives LordRaphael options, as well as I can't remember watching LordRaphael lose to the Germans, and even for example, like this is like a random example, but game 1 of the ESOC LAN tournament in 2019 was a German mirror versus Tabin, which LordRaphael won fairly convincingly actually. So LordRaphael, it won't be a German mirror, I suppose, but he certainly has the abilities to play German to a high level.
Yeah, I mean, LordRaphael has a double-barrel shotgun right here with both his Germany and Iroquois that he can play. Only locked out of Russia and Aztec, but while Russia and Aztec are fair civilizations on Arkansas, I feel like Iroquois-German combo is a little bit scarier, but wow.
That first wow was stunned wow, and that second wow was kind of like a sexy, like, hey, wow.
Locked with Dutch. That's big.
But so if you're king, do you think, okay, I go Japan out boom, or do you think, okay, you're Dutch, I can basically right click TC time, and maybe king could actually stay as the British civilization? Because I do struggle as the Dutch in this matchup. It does seem the British does have some sort of essentially nice timing against the Dutch player if the Dutch player wants to go for like a 4-bank semi-FF. We do see other matchups possibility. So the ball's in KINGofOsmane's court. It's whether he wants to go Japan and play safe, or go for a matchup which is favouring his civ selection but may not favour the player matchup, shall I say.
I definitely think if LordRaphael is locking Dutch here with the consideration that King can go for Japan. I mean, for one, Japan versus Dutch is a pretty even matchup. And even though Japan is the main civilization of King, LordRaphael has to be pretty confident with his Dutch if he's, A-okay with picking that here.
But
so I think he's comfortable.
One thing with the matchup between Japan and Dutch is that if the Dutch player wants to try and contest shrines by building pikemen, he can either ship 8 pikes, which is not ideal, or you can build a barracks, 200 wood, and train pikes, another 200 wood for a batch of 5, and that just slows the Dutch player down and kind of gives King just a little bit more time in base to kind of get away with the 600 wood, 4-vil, and just do Japan things. So I'm not too I think Japan may be a safe pick for King. I wonder what he's taking so long. Maybe he's currently on ESOC on the strategy guide, just frantically typing in Dutch matchups and trying to find the one that Dutch struggles the most and thinking, oh, what should I do? Maybe he's consulting his friend Hazza. We do see Hazza awake and alive in the Twitch chat, so maybe he's offering some sort of tactical support on the side. There's no way we can stop coaching, but obviously coaching in the middle of the game is not allowed, but coaching outside the game, I guess, is just business as usual. And looks like King has gone for the Japanese, so taking a long time to think about Japan matchup here. And one interesting strat LordRaphael can do is on age up to the second age is drop a forward barracks and 2 houses, or a forward barracks and training post, and go for forward skirm play and try and get the map control of the training route. Right, we are going to hop into the next game on game number 6 on Arkansas. The score will be 3-2 to KINGofOsmane. So again, match point for LordRaphael. I'm looking forward to LordRaphael's play here.
You made me very curious with the way you described how this matchup might play out. So, like you said, KINGofOsmane taking a lot of time to deliberate his civilization choice. This is going to be a very, very interesting game. And it puts, like you mentioned, this is match point for King. So if he wins it, he will be crowned the Advanced Division winner and take home up to $200, I believe. So, yeah, this is a good one.
So the first thing I'm seeing as well is forward coin mine for the Japan player. So skirms can just poke in, take coin. We usually see the Dutch players go for banks because they don't really have an easy access to take the full control of the stagecoach. But if you do have a few units out and about and Japan plays defensive, then 3 TPs in the south can easily get picked up by the 400 wood age up shipment, as well as 700 wood first card, and that will provide plus 12 economic population. So essentially 3 banks. So it's essentially, do you go for TPs or banks in this game? And I think if you're assured to get the full route, going for the TPs is the more smart play, and then you can add in the banks at a later point if you want extra eco.
I mean, I don't want to pause you, but what do you feel about the hunt situation? I feel like LordRaphael might be missing a hunt. You can see they both started with 2 in their base. This is the extension for KINGofOsmane, but where is it for LordRaphael? I mean,
so that hunt is this hunt, and it's 1 TC range. It can just be about herded. Hunt to the side, safe hunt to top right. It is a lot closer for the thing. What about the other hunt as well? Coin mines look alright.
Japan's going to be hurting, but LordRaphael definitely seems disadvantaged to me here. Do you want to make the call? I'm thinking we should make the call.
Go on then, let's do it then. I don't think it's enough, but that other hunt is starting to walk in if you like. It does. I mean, Lord can take the risk.
That's his starting hunt. That's. Oh, sorry. If you're referring to that one.
Oh, I read about King as walking in there, but like.
Ah, yes. Well, I mean, we sent the message.
I'm just saying, if Lord wants to carry on, it's all cool. I don't think it's.
Yeah.
It's more of it's a good map for King. It's not unbalanced for Lord, shall I say? It's you know what I'm trying to say. It's not like it's a bad spawn for one player. It's just a slightly better spawn for the other. We do see a Divine Strike picking up this mature bear cub. So we see Gentle Pete, the pet bear, with a 12 times by 3 multiplier versus Treasure Guardians, and he's already scouted up this settler treasure possibly. So maybe want to be moving towards that, and we do see Gentle Pete walking this way, and maybe not scout it just yet. His explorers, Japanese monks, slightly out on the map, but should be coming across that. And with this strong Treasure Guardian with a times 3 multiplier, I'm wanting to see KINGofOsmane making plenty of use versus other treasures. And towards the top, we do see 100 food being picked up for LordRaphael, but there's always the Medicine Man and the Courrier des Bois treasure on the top of the map. So both players know that these treasures are always spawned to the top side, and that might be the path KINGofOsmane starting to take moving forwards.
Kind of unfortunate that LordRaphael is actually playing, Dutch here, because Dutch don't really benefit all that much from 100 food treasure as much as a civilization like Iroquois would, for example. Although even at the 2-minute 57 mark, 100 food probably wouldn't affect the Iroquois build order at all. By that time, they're probably aging.
King has just scouted his triple hunt north of the base, and I'm sure he'd be very happy. He's seen the elks as well, so he's probably sat there thinking, maybe this is the reason, actually. We do see LordRaphael starting to work on this on this Courier de Bois treasure. King of Osmane's Japan is shrining a central hunt in the middle of the map, and that's easily be able to pick off, but I suppose it does reduce the opportunity for Lord to try and herd that hunt in. But where's Gentle Pete? Gentle Pete's down to the south, and yeah, I don't know what Gentle Pete's doing. He's trying to scout around, but this is such a strong unit in treasure collection that I'd like to see Gentle Pete be at least with a nearby explorer to help out if he wanted to pick up this treasure, perhaps. But are we expecting a Courier de Bar steal top left? Like, there's only one monk nearby. It's only got 70 HP now, so it's quite low HP if he wanted to try and get in. And like, LordRaphael is taking his time about this treasure.
Gosh. Hey, I don't know what LordRaphael is anticipating here. He's playing it very, very, very risky. He's going to get the black bear, but
I think it's too early for him to kind of move in. Is he going to crack shot the other one? He's now seen it.
Hopefully.
So it's going to be a stand treasure contention here.
Ooh.
And you know, why is King of Osmane stunned that? He had to. I suppose he could have actually. Yeah, the Japanese explorers actually really low HP. Now the agents come in. Why is he poofing away?
Oh
no, my God, what are you doing? No!
That was really unfortunate for King. He didn't recognize that he was about to age up and would have been perfectly fine had he just continued to focus fire down LordRaphael's Dutch explorer. The Dutch explorer would have been the one that needed to kill the bear. But yeah, oh my gosh, just a little bit of a slip up there.
That is such a shame. Oh well, but looking on the bright side for the Japanese player, he's now seen this triple hunt to the north, which includes his starting turkeys, starting to get some shrines down, also starting to get some good shrines on the right side. Hopefully this first shrine he put down can pick up the other elks as well. He's now seen that LordRaphael has essentially gone in base greedy, 2 banks down already, seen the 700 wood, so he can be assured that there's no forward barracks play or stage push or TP control from the Dutch player, which I think was a kind of a 200 IQ move, possibly. But yeah, it's just the Japan player is just going to start to go pure shrines, especially with the heavily cami into 600 wood. Toshogo's shrine down on the field as well. Gathering up the 60 wood with 4 villagers very, very quickly. Barracks being dropped down as well, and if anything, didn't need that barracks just yet. There's no units on the field for the Dutch player, and having scouted Dutch doing Dutch things with the 700 wood as well, I don't think there's any risk of any units coming in early, so just a safe barracks ready. I guess it's a tournament game. You want to try and play as safe as possible. But yeah, quite a few shrines. He's having to try and awkwardly put some shrines up on the top of the cliff and bottom of the cliff to pick up these deers. He's already got that wall down, a really nice wall across the front side of the base, and I think that should be enough defensive measures from King of Osmane just to protect himself. We're also going for a 5 Yumi Archer batch, and you know, King's got his pet bear in the middle of the town centre, and you know, LordRaphael hasn't done anything to deny his pet bear. He's not trying to hide what he's doing, and going for 4 banks already, no military units out in the field. He doesn't even have a unit in... Okay, he does have 4 skirms on the field now. He needs to get an extra house down by buying the wood and building it, because currently he's at house popped and he's only got 1 settler in queue. I think he had to delete one of the skirmishers from production just to squeeze that in. And now, finally, 4 skirmishers out in the field at 6 minutes and 50 seconds. This is giving King all the time just to get all the shrines he needs. Having said that, though, LordRaphael, 4 banks, as well as having the XP, sending 600 wood now behind this and not really needing a 700 food or a 700 coin shipment to age up, could drop down his 5th bank as well. So both players going maximum greed at this point.
We'll have to see how much LordRaphael chooses to commit to Colonial Age. We can see, you know, he's still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 deer left alive in his base, so he still is hunting on, 5 dead on the ground. But that's gonna run out relatively soon, so I don't know if committing to like a decently long colonial is gonna play to the favor of him. I think he either needs to age up, make a move, and I don't know. I'm looking at the hunt situation, and it is not looking pretty for LordRaphael.
But he has a few infantry on the field. He has one pikeman trying to take down the front. We did offer LordRaphael the opportunity to rehost if he liked. However, I think LordRaphael he felt fine. Maybe his time commitments wants to get this done out of the way quickly. Another batch of skirmishers and the stable being dropped. He's now sent the 700 coin behind this. So training 10 skirmishers or 9 skirmishers and 5 pikes to kind of help in transition. And archers versus skirmishers. At this point, the archers will win due to their higher rate of fire as well. So, the skirmishers here slightly ineffective, but is enough to push the Japanese army away from these pikes, starting to siege down the shrines, but still giving time for the Japanese monk to the south sides of the map, shrining these extra hunts as well. And with this other Japan monk working away on these pikemen, he has the opportunity to move around, shrine other hunts, come back. He's still got his forward hunt outside his base and needing to be shrined. Slightly at risk, but getting 4 shrines in the middle of the map, that is a ballsy move from Japan. And certainly, I think King's also aging to the 3rd age. I know Raphael was going to the 3rd age with the 700 coin, but King sending 600 coin, going 3rd age, and only sending in the 4 vills once. But look at his marketex as well. 2nd tier food, 1st tier coin. No, 2nd tier coin as well, I think. And Imperial bureaucracy as well. These vills are on steroids.
Yeah, literally every single upgrade, I suppose, except for the wood chopping upgrades. But yeah, that is some stacked economy for King of Osmane. On the other hand, we only see LordRaphael with steel traps. No placer mines or gang saw for him quite yet. But yeah, King of Osmane now sitting with the economic lead. Not only in terms of market upgrades, but just overall with the shrines around the map and villagers. I heard some villagers getting shot out, so I think there was a villager pick, probably the rescued settler, was it?
It was the forward walling villager for King of Osmane's 2nd defensive wall. However, massing a massive veteran Yumi archers behind the 1st wall should be enough to try and persuade his skirmishers. But skirmishers coming onto the coin mine, and flaming arrows out in the field. They could get picked off here by the skirm. A focus fire, but one volley comes off, one skirmisher goes down, and is there enough for a second? No, it looks like the skirmishers just got out there, so a little bit of fire onto the flaming arrow, 30 HP going down for it, but more importantly, walking away with basically his entire skirm mass untouched. So it looks like it's kind of a gentleman's agreement, not be too aggressive each player early on into age 3.
Is now hitting the field, as well as 1-2 halberdiers. I suppose those are going to go towards these northern shrines.
Cool, I'm back in the game. So we still see 200 shrine pop for King of Osmane and going for disciplined Yumis, and I think at this point the scaling will benefit the Japan player even more. He does have the Golden Pavilion upgrades working for him. That's the passive one, and we'll be able to ship Way of the Bow soon behind this. Maybe Yumi Archer attack at a later point. Do you think King of Osmane is going to mass into age 3 or could go age 4 behind this?
We see some Naganatas in queue. We see the stable on the field. And I don't think King of Osmane is distributing for industrial, so we won't see at least a fast industrial. But looking at the deck, is there 1,000 coin in there? There is, so I suppose maybe at some point, but I wouldn't expect it personally.
Yes, Skirm's starting to push in. There's a batch of 5 Hussars just been trained, Cavalry Couriers and Veteran Hussars being made, with another batch of 5 currently at base being hidden. Maybe LordRaphael wants to push out with the Cavalry Combat shipment as well. He does have he does have Cavalry Combat. He was hidden there. Not used to seeing his last card in the lineup there, but it does have Cavalry Combat. Cavalry Combat just being shipped for LordRaphael now. He does have the 5th bank down from the 1,000 wood shipment as well. Nagi raids top side onto a few villagers. A couple villagers going down there. These vills do not have the greatcoats, but now has also shown his veteran Hussar masters. If LordRaphael really wants to, or King, he can click onto the veteran Hussars and see their techs and seeing a 40 attack with 464 HP. He knows these are fully upgraded age 3 Hussars for LordRaphael.
Nagadana is taking some serious damage, but now reconvening with the Yumi mass. Still taking a lot of damage on those Naganatas. Even those few that are left are alive, or I don't know how well those would do in an actual engagement, but still roughly even military unit populations. King of Osmane about a batch behind. Still roughly even economies. LordRaphael with the score lead, but that's kind of typical Dutch things. But the Cav mass definitely starting to bolster together.
I feel a little bit more safer for King if he actually finished off his second wall. There's only like 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of wall to actually build, but now he's kind of like trying to walk through a single gate, but no real blocking on the side. Skirmishers yet to have any cards sent for them, so they're currently quite weak skirmishers, but also Yumi archers, no range cards, no Yumi attack card as well. One card has just been shipped for King of Osmane. That could also be the cavalry hit points for his Naginatas. He does have a large batch of cavalry on the field starting to mass up, so maybe a cav switch for both players, and he does have the Nagi Rider hit points available.
Infantry combat coming in for LordRaphael here. Just the hyper greedy build, 1000 wood cav combat, infantry combat.
And if anything, actually, what have these flaming arrows actually achieved? Like, they've picked off 1 or 2 skirms per volley, but like not really enough to kind of really phase LordRaphael. And LordRaphael behind us has managed to, you know, send the 1000 wood, cav combat, and infantry combat. And yes, there we go, King of Osmane. Nagi Rider hit points, so 450 HP per disciplined Nagi with the high HP that the Nagi Rider hit points brings, as well as the disciplined Nagi Riders. But veteran Hussars, all of them moving topside. What have they seen? They've seen a couple of Yumis moving around, but sending all Hussars to the north is not... could be scouted, and once this gets scouted out by King, then King has the ability to kind of move on to the skirmishers, or actually, is he starting to go into this raid left side, but once he's... now all these Hussars are scouted, these Vils are retreating straight away. He's now seen where all the Hussars are, and is he moving out his Nagis? He's going to... he's going to do a classic move. He's going to turn on the inside and charge onto the Vils and skirmishers. He senses where the skirmishers are. He's just going to bypass the Hussars, and this is a move that even the great Alexander the Great would be proud of, turning your cavalry mass onto the main infantry army. And he's just going to smash in onto the Reuters and the skirmishers, and once he sees these skirmishers, I think he's just going to right-click onto the skirmishers and try and do his best here. Yumi Archer's moving out onto the Reuters, and these Hussars out of position, having to swing back. However, there's so many Hussars out on the field that King is frantically running back behind any sort of wall he can get in, and he needs to get behind this first wall for him to actually be somewhat safe. He's stopping to fight. I'm not too sure he needs to do that. Run! Run, King!
This is still a crushing fight for King of Osmane. I mean, now the flaming arrows are looping around, but there's like... oh my god, these cavalry combat veteran Hussars are so strong. Flaming arrows now are getting picked off by the Hussars. Reuters putting in great DPS in the back. All of the Naganatas melted now, and now there's nothing left to defend the disciplined Yumi besides, I suppose, some walls, which are going to do pretty effectively. But they're only 1500 HP, so honestly, with the mass that LordRaphael has behind this, he can just siege it down and be completely fine. He might lose 1 or 2 Hussars in the process, but look, even some of the Hussars getting around the walls. And my gosh, just look at the military disparity here. 60 unit lead for LordRaphael.
Yeah, so those flaming arrows just have done nothing all game because they're just not great anti-infantry units. They're good versus other artillery, but not that great on the field versus infantry. We had LordRaphael's huge Hussar mass of fully upgraded Hussars engaged on some Naginata riders who are not good anti-cavalry units. They're only good versus infantry, but not good versus cavalry. But with Reuters forming that second line of the Dutch army onto the Naginatas, those cavalry units just fell apart, and once the cavalry went down, then it's just trying to reinforce with going for Ashigaru now, veteran Ashigarus as well as Flintlock, trying to snare down some of these Reuters, but I think LordRaphael just does not need to overcommit here. He needs to try and play it somewhat smart and back out, and yes, he's kiting away with his Reuters and skirms. Hussars are retreating to the far end, want to get as far away from the Musketeers as possible, but still keeping the skirmishers interested, trying to pick up a few pot shots into the Yumis, they don't have the Way of the Bow yet, or the Yumi attack, so slightly underwhelming versus these veteran skirmishers with triple card upgrades. Look at this.
That is quite the build order.
But also now going for the counter infantry rifling versus the Ashigaru musketeers. Cavalry creates already in for the hussars. I don't think we'll see the ranged cavalry caracole for the raiders, but you know, this is the definition of fully upgraded army for LordRaphael. Yeah, the account infantry is nearly in. Most of the Nagi's gone down, and it's just going to be fully upgraded skirmishers trying to tear apart these Ashigaras. And the Ashigaras, they don't know how good these skirms are. You just see these units just going to fall over very, very quickly, and we just see +12s everywhere from the Ashigaras going down. A few Hussars went down there, but GG for LordRaphael, and I actually think that was fantastically played by LordRaphael there.
I mean, just making use of the fact I'm just looking at this shipment order and I think it's absolutely hilarious. I don't even think it's definitely not bad. It's just big balls. That's all I can say.
Sure. We also see LordRaphael did eventually get the 3 TP stagecoach, but only managed to get it when he felt comfortable. He had map and army control in Age 3, and may have built it on the 1,000 wood, but may just basically waited until his army grew at a later point. And I think we're having 5 banks behind this and all the upgrade cards. It's refreshing to see no unit shipments from LordRaphael being sent. And looking at Lord's deck, he has the 7 skirm, 8 skirm for Hussar, and the 2 Raider cards, but elected to go, no, you know what, I'm happy with this, and went Cav combat, infantry combat, and the infantry upgrade cards. Could have even squeezed the church card in there if he wanted some extra eco, but I think the right decision there was to actually go for the stagecoach TPs instead of the extra banks, which costs more, but also that upgrade from the church slows your army down, which, you know, you need that speed on your Hussars really just to kind of be able to, once you do commit, actually commit and slam your army onto the Japan army there. So really good from LordRaphael, and I'm glad he actually got the 3 trading posts and the stagecoach upgrades to ensure full map control and an eco lead over his Japan counterpart.
Big bonus on Raphael, and he's very happy to have tied up this series. 1 game left in the chamber. And what's funny is both of these players have their main civilization. LordRaphael has Germans, and KINGofOsmane has Japan. And the final map is going to be Colorado.
I wonder if LordRaphael is going to be forever annoyed that his housemates turn off the internet or PC overheating, because, you know, after taking the admin loss into game 1 and feeling that he's comfortable, he was 3-1 down, and now it's 3-all. So final game for both players, match point for each, and we see another series go into match point, and it seems to be like the theme of this tournament that most of the series are going on quite late, and that's just great. It's more tension, more content, more engagements, and just, yeah, it's another good series here between these 2 advanced players. And looking at that military population, it's just, there's just so many upgrades on LordRaphael's units that once KINGofOsmane was out in the field, really, those archers, the Naginators got destroyed by the heavy upgraded cavalry of the Dutch player, and then once the cavalry is gone, there's nothing to really protect the Yumi archers.
It's not the right time for KINGofOsmane to engage, and I suppose that was what he meant by same mistake. You know, comparing his Japan to the game with Aztec, where he just chose the wrong time to make the engagement, or the wrong, place on the map to make the engagement. Like where we saw him, you know, he was just outside of his walls, the range of his walls, and he chose to take the engagement. Naginata's hitting on fully upgraded cavalry combat. Hussars and Reuters in the back, great TPS for LordRaphael, and it was a clean engagement for the Dutch player.
Interjection just commented saying he came in like a wrecking ball. He certainly did. He just smashed that cavalry onto the front line of the Japan Naginata line, and they just fell over very, very quickly. I think there's also good position from the small mass of Reuters behind, but just enough Reuters to really swing that cav fight in LordRaphael's favour there.
see a hung series match point for both of these players. Game number 7 going to be on Colorado. One thing of note is that LordRaphael does have a small disadvantage. He's going to be the player to lock civilization first, which does bode well for KINGofOsmane, but again, versus the number 2 on a hung series, LordRaphael is not going to let go of that easily.
You like that word, don't you, hung?
Big balls hung. Oh my gosh. This cast is not going places.
But what can I say though? It provides the comedic content for all the viewers to enjoy. So if you like what Comet's doing with his big balls and hung commentary, feel free to drop a comment, drop a subscription. Just if you do subscribe, you can have your message read out as well. So I'm sure Comet would love to see what you guys come up with the chat afterwards. But maybe he's just trying to compensate for something here, Comet.
Pardon me. I mean, I did just come out of the shower before this cast, and I didn't have time to moisturize, so I think applying some lotion is what I'll be doing after the stream.
Just stop.
I guess that,
Please
yeah,
just
that went a
stop.
little bit too far, right?
Right, okay, so, yeah, Comet K at 4 AM in the morning is about to be getting the moisturizer out. How are you going to wipe off that moisturizer? Are you need like boxes
Do you think
as
my
well?
brain works at this time?
Maybe watching KINGofOsmane's Japan play might give you the, you are disgusting.
I can hope. Are you blaming this on me? You're the one that brought it up.
Oh, definitely not me. This is all on you. This is. The score currently now is 3-3, about to go into the final game, best of 7. We could chuck on a best of 9 if we wanted to. Like, hey guys, we've enjoyed it so much. Let's play another 2 more. No, but it's best of 7. Only best of 9 is the final match between Hazard and Maito. Is that the only planned best of 9, or is the bronze match best of 9 as well?
Bronze match is actually a best of 9
wow.
between Kaiser Klein and Lucas. Yeah, I think it was probably a bit of a clerical error that it was a best of 9, but I think the players should be fun to play that. Should be enjoyable to watch a best of 9.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon we can see Honcho come out for a legendary appearance on Colorado?
Don't think LordRaphael is inclined to do the good faith agreements China build order that we've seen Harsha do on this map, but locking still French.
Well, I think China's not a bad pick here. I think one of the reasons why Mongo had a bit of a rough time in the last series playing China was I realised on both his games he did have the 300 wood start, but elected to go for 2 villages instead of a village and a trading post. So it always felt like Mongo's momentum into the third age was slightly slower than it ought to have been. But LordRaphael opened up the French. I think that just allows LordRaphael to not be countered too badly. We saw KINGofOsmane win with the French. We haven't seen LordRaphael even play the French yet, so the civ selection there is okay.
Yes, no issues. Wait. So LordRaphael, he won with Aztec, Russia, and he won the previous game with Dutch. So yes, France is a-okay.
So guys, time to get your comments in. Who do you think is going to win? LordRaphael's French or KINGofOsmane's Japan? There's no trade route here really to obstruct KINGofOsmane from warding his base. We do see A's11 just subscribing to ESOC. Thank you, A's, for the subscription. And if you also want to have your name read out, actually, Harcher gifted a tier 1 to A, so A's high, I guess. But Harcher, thank you for the sub, or gifting a sub. That would be pretty awkward if I'm like saying thanks to the wrong person. Right, so I'm going to lock in just to say the players that I'm ready for this final game. Actually, before we commit, I don't know how long this game's going to be. It could be short, it could be long. I'm going to take a quick tactical break.
While Harrison takes a break, I hope you guys have been enjoying this finals match between LordRaphael and KINGofOsmane. Of course, it's part of the ESOC Winter Championship 2020. I think we still... No, there's no bronze match for the advanced finals. But coming up a little bit later today, in about an hour from right now, at 13 GMT, we do have the intermediate division bronze match between Hatamoto Samurai, aka Harsha, and DD Fantasy, aka Abadanti. Harsha is a player from Latvia, and in the past he was ranked Colonel. He's recently come back, and he's clearly shown his chops, and he's made it to the bronze match there. DD Fantasy, not sneak, but an overlooked, I guess, or an underrated player from China, from the Chinese community, also made it to the semifinals, lost to Frontier, and of course, Hatamoto Samurai lost to Mongo Bilioni. But we do have that bronze match. That's coming up in an hour after this, so that would be great if you tuned in for that as well. It will be casted, I think, by Riot Coke and Jesus 3, if I'm not mistaken. Although I'll have to get my facts straight.
Can we just start calling Jesus Jesus the Third? Obviously, the first incarnation Jesus was in the biblical times. The second incarnation Jesus was in the Family Guy series, and now it gets even better. Jesus the Third has graced the Age of Empires 3 scene, and we are in the presence of the Son of God. Right, so final game, and it's looking forward to this. It's now 12 PM where I am, so we've been going for about 3 hours. Obviously, the first hour was an interesting hour to say the least, or the first half an hour at least. But once we got back in, it was fine, and we've seen Russia into Brit with LordRaphael winning as Russia. Now we have KINGofOsmane Russia into the French, and this is also another matchup where I think I could argue it is Russia favoured. It's quite tough for the French players to try and hold on, and I won't be surprised if we're seeing a massive Musketeers and Cossacks with Boyars coming in at a later point. But here we go, guys, jumping into game number 7, the deciding game of this advanced division between LordRaphael and KINGofOsmane.
I mean, this is a matchup that I wasn't anticipating from the get, and I think it's high risk for KINGofOsmane Russian. I mean, he can play them certainly to a colonel degree at least, maybe even brigadier, but I don't really think people expect Russia from KINGofOsmane, and LordRaphael is definitely a well-versed player with France, and this is a pretty even matchup, but it can be kind of swingy, and so if I'm honest, I'm not as confident with KINGofOsmane's Russia pick here compared to what else he might be able to bring to the table with his other civilizations. But if he's able to pull through, I will be very, very excited to see this underdog take it. But I think we can just be glad at the very least that we've had such a great series to this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, interjection here. Welcome back to the new world. This is the final game of the best of 7 between KINGofOsmane versus LordRaphael. We see KINGofOsmane picking as the Russian civilization in counter of LordRaphael's French pick for the game number 7 on Colorado. And I'm joined with Comet for the final game, and have we seen where Honcho the pet bear is? I've seen 95 wood on the left hand side, and here we go, nearly mature bear cub that you can contain.
Oh, thank you for the flare. Beautiful. Wow, I didn't know it was so easy to take. Just have to kill his mother and his father and then rescue Honcho.
You're brutal today, aren't you? Oh no, the mum just got taken down.
Oh my god. Oh, that's so awful. Wow, that's a really, really big pickup for King of Osmane, especially in the first minute of the game. That's definitely going to help him secure the rest of the treasures around the map. Let's see what he has scouted. He at least has line of sight over a 3 stray sheep treasure, which really isn't too bad now that it's been changed a little bit on ESOC Patch.
So obviously,
that's actually...
Obviously, you can thank Kaiser for bouncing out all the treasures in this latest patch. So we get to see more of Honcho the Pet Grizzly as he walks across the map. And let's see what Honcho is going to do and what is he going to find. He's moving to the north. I think he's actually missed that 95 wood treasure guarded by the 2 grizzlies to the top left. But he may actually try and move his grizzly to the side to scout it. And yes, he's now come across another family of grizzly bears. But unfortunately, this grizzly bear of Honcho is here to ruin their day and pick up a 95 wood for the Russian player.
Big scout, and yeah, gonna completely botch the native scout treasure. Of course, that native scout is now getting scouted out by the native scout of the French player, LordRaphael. So he may opt to go for that and get some double scouting pressure. But either way, 95 wood is an excellent pickup for King of Osmane, although that is going to get scouted by
Where's
LordRaphael
Honcho going?
well.
Come on, Honcho, you're needed here to demolish these grizzly bears. Stop chasing the native scout. Yeah, there you can turn in 1 shot. 2 shot. There you go. Honcho giving the other grizzly the old 1-2 combo and taking him down for a 95 wood there for the Russian player. We did see LordRaphael did pick himself up 90 wood earlier in the match as well. So wood is equal, but with a pet grizzly treasure out on the field, able to pick up some extra treasures. We do see 120 XP on the top right. Right side, and wolf cub. We saw the cougar cub onto the south, and a few other interesting treasures. 90 food from 3 wolves, but it looks like King of Osmane is trying to go for that native scout. But as the Russian player, you don't really need that line of sight. You're just going to right-click French's base anyway.
Something pretty big I think we missed was the crate start. It was actually what seems like a 100 wood crate start. So that allowed LordRaphael to get an early trading post, and that definitely plays to the favor of the French player more than the Russian player, I would say. And especially in a do-or-die matchup, it's not going to be an easy game for King of Osmane from this point. That's just kind of another thing to the favor of LordRaphael. But we did see the Honcho pickup for King of Osmane, so I think he might just make out with this one. Oh, okay. For a second there, he had DQ'd his villagers from the blockhouse, but he picked up on it pretty quick, and yeah, very, very aggressive blockhouse.
I'm struggling to work out what King of Osmane scouted or not. I don't think he scouted anything north of this trading post near his blockhouse. So all the treasures are to the top side, the 120 XP, where the French explorer is. Interesting name there. Fard is a 1v1 noob. I'm not too sure Fard will prove for that, but he also did lose his tournament games and was knocked out the tournament quite early, Fard was, so...
Oh, yes.
Maybe some research has been done with that name. And King of Osmane with Alexander the Terrible. So we're about to hit the second stage with both players, and we've got to see what King of Osmane wants to do first card. I'm assuming he wants to go for the 5 Cossacks. He hasn't actually gone for any trained units, just going for 3 settlers, and with an in-base 400 wood, we may see an early market being dropped down from the Russian player as well.
Ooh. And before this stable had even been scouted by King of Osmane, Osmane had 5 musketeers in queue, which is going to be pretty effective with this stable start that we can see from the French player. Definitely with Honcho in the base, that's not going to be taken down easily, even by these very powerful Coureurs de Bois. So that's going to give some...
Honcho's not doing anything to this CDB either, really. He's just kind of tickling it from behind, like a, can you scratch my back for me, please? But now with the other units in, it's a useful distraction from any fire, like a town centre fire or hussars being popped. We do see 2 hussars on the field and 3 hussars shipped as first cards, and I think King might have seen that and has already been very happy with that response. 3 hussars currently in queue for LordRaphael as well. King of Osmane has now just sent himself another shipment. Looking at the population, 34, 39. It may be another 5. It may be another 4 Cossacks on the way. actually having 3 setters in queue. It might be a wood or coin shipment, but you know, LordRaphael having now he got the full 5 batch out actually, I think. So LordRaphael certainly has a lot of cavalry out in the field and upgraded Courier de Bois as well. No 4 CDB shipment behind this, but I think KINGofOsmane, he would be happy to take a trade, but I don't think he has the army right now to win this engagement. Early on, we do have quite a lot of units out on the field for LordRaphael, of 7 Hussars still alive, and 2 Hussars going for a little cheeky raid to the left-hand side, and we do have 1 villager quite exposed on this deer. 4 Cossacks being shipped to the forward outpost, I do believe, yeah, forward blockhouse, so all the Cossacks in field, and these 2 Hussars doing their own little raid. They're not here to try and help engage and push back this Russian mass, and Minutemen being called very, very quickly in this engagement as well. Musketeers moving forward. Ideally, we get Musketeers onto his hands, combat onto the Hussars as well. Cossacks focusing down Hussars, all Hussars down. Minutemen starting to lose some HP, and once the Hussars go down, we have 15 Musketeers on top of these Minutemen. They're going down. 2 Hussars trying to raid the left side. Do get a lot of vills bailed up, but actually looking back into Raphael's base, there's not many other military units on the field. Looking at units in queue, do we see anything really stabilizing? Only 1 crossbow in queue, no more Hussars. LordRaphael has just sent himself a 4 CDB shipment, so quite far away from sending 8 expos as well, and LordRaphael hasn't really got much behind this. He's at risk of getting Russia in this final game.
No, I actually think LordRaphael might be in an okay position. For one, you know, yeah, he did take a little bit of damage there, and it wasn't a great trade. But now, KINGofOsmane has already used 5 Cossack, 4 Cossack. There is still the 8 Expo shipment. Unfortunately, LordRaphael shipped 4 Courier de Bois, and of course, I know he wants to get ahead economically, but I feel like 8 Expomen might have been. Oh, there you go. And see, this is exactly what he needed. This is exactly what LordRaphael needed, and now KINGofOsmane just doesn't have a lot to contest. Of course, we do see 13 Strelets engaging and way too close. Oh, wow. And especially with the advanced speed of these Strelets, this 13 Strelet shipment, with the proximity they had to the
Expo. This could be a clutch 3 Hussars onto the Strelets as well, with crossbows reinforced onto the Musketeer line. A bit of town centre fire wouldn't go too far amiss. We do have great cuts on the CDB as well, so looks like LordRaphael has been focused down his Hussars, but with decent massive crossbows still on the field. This is getting rather close. If anything, LordRaphael is starting to edge this early engagements, and King will really need to send sort of extra shipments and maybe 700 coin next to try and further his Musketeer. He nearly has enough resources to drop a stable down. Losing quite a lot of his units will make sure that he won't need to build any more houses for quite a while, and so 700 coin, I'm looking forward to the next shipments, but trying to push in with Musketeers again. He needs those Cossacks. Now that he's seen his crossbows, he needs those Cossacks, and I would like to see that his build to be adapted to include Cossack production in the future.
I know the game's been really hot to this point, but as you can see, there's a dead Explorer in the base for KINGofOsmane, and that entire time there's been an unbuilt trading post foundation. So basically, from this point, KINGofOsmane has been playing with a 200 wood disadvantage.
Yeah, that's quite huge, and with that stable being produced, I'm not too sure pushing in again at this point is maybe the best idea. The Hussars have gone for a raid to the north side, and I think if King's actually thinking, where are those Hussars? They're not on my units. He might be looking for it, but actually another reinforcement batch of 4 Hussars and the 700 coin coming for Raphael before KINGofOsmane's 700 coin Cossack production. This raid to the top side is going to be huge.
Just fight it. Just fight it.
What, the raid? Yeah, he needs to do something here. Hussars path onto the Strelets in the middle for King, and King's attention is dragged everywhere. Musketeers going to hand combat, but Hussars getting away. And do we see any Cossacks in queue? We need to get a few Cossacks. 2 in queue for the time being. Resources available for another 2, but 4 Cossacks for this. Oh, he's losing a lot of infantry for the time being. He's run back to his blockhouse, and he's trying his best to pick off the Hussars, but his crossbowmen are doing absolute work onto this. 5 Cossacks coming out, but a reinforcing batch of 5 Hussars should be enough for the French player to even, not just stabilise, but push out even further.
It was excellent timing for LordRaphael. That raid just coming in as soon as KINGofOsmane had sent 700 coins. So you can see there was a big mismanagement of resources for King. He had a lot of coin. And just at the same time as the raid was going on, there was a huge engagement. LordRaphael had caught KINGofOsmane's military, and snared it, and Osmane wasn't able to escape now with a significantly nerfed, resources.
Five
Sorry.
musketeers
Gosh.
just popped onto the musketeers. We still have 3 Cossacks in queue, but 3 Cossacks on top of this massive hussars. A few of them have low HP, so it could be zoned off first. Actually, turning around onto the crossbows could be a good shout. And here we go. 5 Cossacks on top of this crossbow mass. Musketeers top right to try and zone off the musketeers. Focus fine onto the musketeers from the outpost as well. Cossacks engaging with the crossbowmen, but another reinforcing batch of 4 hussars here. 9 hussars on top of this small army from the Russian player, and I think that should be enough to finish it up. And yes, LordRaphael has managed to stabilize and zone off his opponents and take that final game 4-3. And KINGofOsmane, 3-1 up, has now been defeated 4-3 by LordRaphael.
Was a hot and heavy last one. A solid 6 minutes of action. Yeah, that was a really, really tense one.
Yeah, let's look at yeah, I think it's realised that, and I'm not too sure if that TP would have actually helped the Russian player, because it did come in at quite a late part of the game. He had already put up the trading post, and I think he also had the market up and market tech, so unless he was going for like a full 3 TP with a stagecoach as well, slightly delayed, and that TP may have had less effects as well, but military unit count or military unit population as well, that 3 hussar and the 5 hussar batch from LordRaphael was enough to stabilise on top of the Minutemen pop. A few of those Strelets and Muskets getting caught out by then the reinforcing crossbows and crossbow shipments, and then once LordRaphael had enough time gathering resources in his base, he was able to get out batches of 5 hussar, 4 hussar, 5 hussar again to then really push out of his base. And I think once KINGofOsmane lost his initial mass of 5-4 Cossacks, 13 Strelets, and then the 10 Musketeers as well being produced, struggled to reinforce. He just imagine if that TP wasn't there but was a secondary blockhouse in that defensive position, so 2 blockhouses providing cover and fire as well. We could have seen a slightly extended game into the final game, but LordRaphael taking a tricky matchup but playing really well actually to pick up this final game. But it must have been so tense for both players.
I mean, really, it was not a great start for LordRaphael, really. You can see that engagement that happened around, I believe, the 6 minute and 50 mark? 6 minute and 30 mark went crushingly to the favor of the Russian player. But you can see then later at the 9 minute 30 mark when there was a 2 hussar raid going on, distracting KINGofOsmane. At the exact same moment, LordRaphael had gotten into snare with the Russian military and was able to just take a crushing engagement. And from that point, KINGofOsmane was on the ground, never on his feet, and closed it out. LordRaphael with some solid execution.
Yeah, so unfortunate ending for this series. I was really hoping to see KINGofOsmane pulling out Japan again and showing us how dominant he is with the Japanese civilization, and that may have been a wiser calling it, especially because he knew that LordRaphael went French. Maybe he thought this is the more matchup-friendly situation for King. Looking at all resources gathered as well, obviously the French player, once he got that 3 CDB and 700 coin in on the floor, gave him a bit of a resource advantage and wasn't really pinned down in terms of villager count behind that. He did lose 2 villagers early on as well. Actually, in total, lost 4. So, good raiding there from King, good pressure. But I think it's just being caught out by that raid as well. And I actually thought raiding with a couple of hussars when you've got that many units near your base was risky enough. But LordRaphael, really good multitasking and macro. We know he's very good at his macro and unit control. Managed to divert King's attention, and once that attention was diverted, just slammed it in for a final cleanup at that mark, and you see Russian armies just fall over, and then had to try and fight near the blockhouse to try and stabilize. But LordRaphael, getting full batches from his actual stable, was able to come back and look at the final fight. There's 9 hussars, all nearby. 3 of them low HP, could have been picked off by. Okay, 2 of them low HP, could have been picked off by the blockhouse, but any units being popped at this point in the game would be futile. So yeah, that's the end of the game, and LordRaphael has picked up the advanced division bracket after losing 4-3 to Snow in his first round in the pro division. And after LordRaphael dropped down into the advanced division, he had a 3-0 win versus a guy called NX Worries, and who is that? I have no idea. Some random noob, I think, from America. Also then followed up with 3-0 Jerry Muno, and got a bye versus TLS in the semi-finals, and has now picked himself a prize check of $175, with King of Osmane taking home a second place prize of $125 plus any extra money from previous rearrangements of prize money.